Oh, yes, so happy to have you with me on a 3-hour long, yes, 3 hours. I am insane. Policy-thon. We will be talking, we'll be chatting, we'll be doing an AMA, and of course, it is also a fundraiser. For those of you who haven't figured it out yet, I have officially announced it is Larry Sharpe for governor of New York, and some of you are probably super excited. And some of you may not be so excited, but whether you're excited or not, I don't care. Either way, it is happening. And what you will find often, in fact, sadly, I would say too often, is people who are running for office who their entire goal is to simply scream how bad the other is. It is very rare they have any real answers for any real questions. This is different. For those of you who've been following me for a long time, you know, one of the things that I pride myself on is I will answer your question. You may not like my answer, but you will get an answer. I won't just yell other guy bad, even though they are. I won't just do that. I will give you an answer, how I plan to fix it, make things better, whatever the case may be. And the most important piece here, for any of you out there go, Larry, you know what? I'm glad you're running, but you know what? What kind of impact can you make? And let me tell you what. The most important piece here is, if I'm just on that debate stage, now they have to actually answer all the questions. Well, Larry, what are you talking about? Okay. Some of you may remember the New York City candidate who ran all the time, guy named Jimmy McMillan. Some of you may remember him. The name of his party was the Rent is Too Damn High Party. That was the name of his party. Now, was Jimmy McMillan ever going to win? No, of course not. He was never going to win. But here's the most important part. Every time he was on that debate stage, you had to talk about the rent. You had to, because he wasn't going to let you get away with it. That was the name of his party. It was going to happen. You had to talk about your plans for the rent, or you're going to look like a fool. Jimmy McMillan makes you look like a fool if you don't talk about the rent. Well, when Larry Sharpe's on the debate stage, people got to talk about the real issues in New York State, which will eventually come or already there in your state. That's the critical piece. That's what matters more than anything. You may go, Larry, does that debate stage matter that much? It does, but not just the debate stage. Being on the podcast circuit, being able to talk about these things, because now the press will pick it up and they will then ask other people, hey, Larry Sharpe said X, what about this? Larry Sharpe said Y, what about this? You will see that begin to happen. You may go, well, Larry, is that all we can expect? Oh, no, my friend, no. The last time an independent like me won a governorship was Jesse Ventura, 96, I think, 96, if I'm not mistaken, Minnesota. What put him over the top? Oh, yes, it was two things. It was cool commercials. I'm not joking. That was one part. And he embraced his wrestler past, and something else, debate stage. Those are the two reasons why Jesse Ventura won that governorship. We can do the same thing here. We can win the governorship. We can gain ballot access, and meaning all of us that have two real parties in New York State, and we can make impact and change this state. That all happens this run. And that's why I'm bugging you. And if you like that, you think it's important, to do me a favor right now, click the button known as like. Click that button right now so that other people can see it, so that other people can pay attention, right? Mr. Rhythm, Algo loves when you click that button. If you haven't done so, why do you hate me? But something else. Share and repost this now. And if you are involved politically at all, in anything, cut and paste this, put this into that chat, put this into that Facebook group, whatever. Put it in there now so people can see it. That's what matters. And you'll notice something else. Super chats are not active here. They're not. I'm not looking for super chats. I am, though. I'm looking for donations. If you want to super chat me, you can. Donate to the cause. Head over to LarrySharpe.com/super chat. I'll click the link that's in the description on YouTube, description on Facebook also. Click that right there, super chat, and put it in, type in your super chat, and it will pop up. So if you want to super chat me, you can, absolutely. Also, you might be saying, Larry, that's a pretty cool hoodie you have. True, it is. You can get one. Hoodies, shirts, bumper stickers, LarrySharpe.com/shop. The link is there. Go there, pick up a shirt, pick up a hoodie, whatever. You might go, Larry, that shirt's a little expensive. I know, you're supporting the campaign. You are donating to support the campaign and getting a gift as a shirt. If you just want to buy shirts, There's plenty of places to buy shirts. Lots of places, not LarrySharpe.com. Do you want to support this movement and get a shirt? Then go to LarrySharpe.com/shop. Do that. Support this movement and then get a shirt or a hoodie or a bumper sticker, whatever you like. And they look cool. See, I have some here. All good. Look at these. See, look cool. See, wearing the merch. Go do that. It does matter. If you just say, Larry, all I want to do is donate, you can. We have a matcher. We have matching funds, not $9,000, $6,000. First $6,000 gets matched. First $6,000 gets matched this time, guys. If you guys put it up, first $6,000 gets matched by a donor. Here's the kicker. If you live in New York State, gets matched 6 times. I'm not joking. New York State is going to give me taxpayer dollars. Oh, isn't it great? They don't get it. Me too. So you give me $100, $600 comes from the state. If you live in New York State. If you don't live in New York State, we have a matching fund anyway. 1 time. Live in New York State 6 times. Oh my God. Larry, I love you. I don't have cash. No worries. I need people to join my SEAL Team Sharpe. It does matter. SEAL Team Sharpe needs people to join. So head over to LarrySharpe.com/volunteer and then volunteer. Put it in. There's going to be a call this Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. I want you on that call. Larry, how do I get in that call? Volunteer. Sign up here to volunteer. You get the email. You come on the call, and we start yapping away and telling you how you can join SEAL Team Sharpe and we can get this thing moving. We need the help now. I know you're saying, Larry, I want to wait. Don't wait. If you have more time than money, volunteer. You have money than time, buy a shirt. Whatever it is, do any of those. It does matter. I have a ton of comments, I know, and I want to grab a couple more if I could. But let me start talking about what really matters here. And that is how do we fix New York State. Now, what I'm going to tell you here, if you don't live in New York State, you're going to hear pieces of it that affect your state. Maybe all of them. If you live in California, all of them. If you don't live in California, at least one of them. Here are the 4 key aspects we have to work on in New York State. Affordability, opportunity, safety, and liberty. And with these in a row, we can fix. With these in a row, we can actually repair. That can make us actually repair the state to where people will stop leaving. That's the key. Those are the 4. We do those 4, and things are going to change. Let me grab each of them if I could. I'll start with affordability. There are so many ways that we can make New York affordable. What, of course, if you're someone like Mamdani, who's running for mayor, he does address this. I'll give him that he does. His answer is, I'll just freeze the rents, and then rents will be cheaper, and I'll give you free buses, and then buses will be cheaper. Well, he's not wrong. If you happen to take a bus, it will be cheaper. True. If you happen to be, rent stabilized, your rent might be freeze. Okay, maybe that's he's addressing it. I'm looking far larger than that. And my biggest piece, it is a big piece, but it matters. It is a sovereign fund for New York State. The New York State Social Trust, the NIST. See, I have a cool nickname for it. The NIST is critical. The NIST is the New York State Sovereign Trust. Is just like sovereign funds in Singapore, Norway, Saudi Arabia. These countries all have sovereign funds. Alaska has a sovereign fund where it writes a check to its people every single month. I wish we could write a check to everybody. Maybe one day. We have to first do things like pay for education. If the New York Social Trust can pay for education immediately, once that happens, in the first year or 2 that begins to happen, once we're paying for education, that means school tax goes away. If school tax goes away, depending upon where you live across New York State, your property tax goes down by about half. If property tax in New York State goes down by about half, more people will stay in New York. Rents will stabilize. You will see things become better. Number one piece, you'll see things become better. That is what I want to begin to start with. Now, don't get me wrong, that's not enough, but that's the first chunk. In the first couple of years we do that, we pay for education, which allows me to fix education. It's a whole separate issue. And we start to cut property tax in half. People will start feeling like, wait a minute, I could actually survive here. I could actually work here. Yes. Add on top of that, as we're raising money from the NIST, we can start lowering taxes too. New York State has an income tax. Across the state, income tax is somewhere around 4%, depending upon what city you're in, but in that area. And there's tons of loopholes, as there always are. First thing we do, 4% flat income tax, no change, no exceptions, period. That's it. 4%. Done. That's your income tax, right? Done. Now, we can create a floor with that. We can say under X dollars. So say, I'm not sure the number exactly, but say $30,000. $30,000 or less, nothing. Over 30,000, you pay on 30,000. That's a $1, 4% flat. That's it. Done. Larry, that's still taxes. You're a libertarian. True. You're right. That's why every year for 8 years straight, we cut the income tax by 0.5%. So 4%, 3.5%, 3, all the way down to 0. You wean the income tax down to 0 over 8 years. Immediately, people who spend under, who are making less than the median salary pay no income tax, and then those above $1, above 4%, all the way through, over down to 0. What does that do? Does it magically make New York State great? It doesn't. Does it give people hope and seeing the future? It does. Those two things right there, people start going, maybe this state's going to be affordable. Maybe I can stay. Because the biggest issue New York State has is people fleeing the state. Everything else is secondary. Let me repeat that. Everything else is secondary. The primary problem in New York State is that people keep leaving. 300,000 every single year. That has to stop. People in New York State, most of them have no hope. They think it's never going to get better. It doesn't matter. Why do you think we're voting for Mamdani in New York City? For that reason. What the hell? We'll try it. Who cares? We have no hope. That's our only hope. Free buses? Okay, I'll take it. Fine. That's where we are. A place where there is no hope. This will give some people some hope to actually stay. And we can wean people off of it while we raise money for the trust. That's a critical piece. I'll add one more piece onto that. And that is business tax. Business tax in New York is around 6%, depends on where you are in the state, obviously, but around that, same concept. 6% flat for the entire state. Flat, 6%. And even give small business owners who make under $50,000, give them a break. 0, $50,000 or more, $1 over that, you pay 6% on that, and you move on. That's it. That's your business tax. You do that, great. Also, lower that 0.5% for 8 years, right, down to 2%. Why 2%? Because one of the states that's really exploding right now is North Carolina. Why, Larry? Why is North Carolina so special? Because it's super cool? It's not bad, but that's the reason why. The reason is, or one of the reasons I should say is, because they have the lowest business tax in the country, 2.5%. We will be down to 2%, the lowest in the entire country. And again, hope so that you don't leave. Businesses are leaving New York. People are leaving New York. Hope is the critical piece. Now, of course, I could go 17 hours just on that, but I wanted to bring up those pieces of affordability to the best of my ability so you could hear it at least. So you can hear what I'm trying to talk about, hear what matters, right? This idea of affordability. This idea of affordability, trying to get people here. So let me grab a couple comments if I could. Kim says, great to see you, Larry. Oh, thank you, Kim. I appreciate that. Yes. Missy says, hey, everyone, please drop a like on your way in. She's correct. Please drop that like if you have not. I appreciate that. Kim goes on to say, Larry will rip them to pieces in debate. I can't wait for debates. True, true, and true. That's not a joke. If you hear people debate, what you're going to hear is, hey, Kathy Hochul, what about so-and-so? And she will yell, Trump is bad, and Trump is evil, and Trump is Trump, and Trump. And that's what she'll say. And more money, and I got lots of money. She'll say that. And then whatever Republican they put up, the sacrificial lamb who's going to lose, they put up, whatever that Republican is, they'll say, hey, Republican, no one will care about in 4 years. What do you think about that? And she'll go, Dems are evil and socialism and Mamdani and communists. And that'll be all she'll say. That's it. Larry, how do you fix so-and-so? I will walk down the list. This. What will they say? They will look stupid, which is what I need. Liberty says, if you want to donate, go to LarrySharpe.com/donate. Yes, do that. That's a good idea. She is correct. Let me explain how the donation works. If you guys donate and you do not live in New York State, please donate. It doesn't matter. Donate anyway. You can give up to $9,000. I know somebody's so disappointed you wanted to give me $10,000. You can't. You only give $9,000 or less. Larry, why that number? Because New York State makes up numbers arbitrarily, and that's one of them. I wish I was joking. They just said, that's the number because we said so. So the number is $9,000 or less, but please, whatever you can give, please give. I have a donor here who will match up to $6,000. So up to $6,000 will be matched by a donor. However, if you live in New York State and you donate up to $250 between $5 and $250, New York State will say, oh, you live in New York State. If Larry Sharpe raises $500,000, that's what I have to do, raise $500,000, which I've done before, twice. If you raise $500,000, we will give you $6 for every one you've raised. So if someone gives you $100, we will just give you $600 of free money. Isn't it great how the money's just free? It's not free, but free money. I just get free money. Look at that. So do that. Help us out to make that work. Thank you so much, Liberty. You are correct. Yes. So Josh says, why not get rid of the income tax in New York? Because I cannot, Josh. That's the reason why. It is impossible. Impossible for two reasons. What I want to, of course, but that's to say that you don't understand my state or how things work at all in my state. That may work in your state, I don't know, but in my state, it's impossible. What I mean by impossible, number one, we are so far in debt for me to get rid of the income tax in New York State, that would take about $80 to $90 billion, maybe a little bit more, out of our budget overnight. The state would beg for a dictator because it would collapse. And remember, you might go to Libertarian, well, then the market won't do shit in my state because we've trashed the market with horrible regulations. The market cannot respond. We've made sure of that, Josh. My state has made sure it cannot respond. We will jail people, I'm not joking, who will respond. So no, that cannot happen. I wish it could. It'd be amazing. So we have to wean off of it while we find other ways of raising money. And as you probably know, if you paid attention, Josh, I think you have. I have many ways of raising money other than taxation. As we start showing people that we can do that, they are more than happy to surrender taxation. Right now, for me to get even that lowering of taxation through would be a challenge. So I understand what you're saying, but that's why I can't. It is physically. I would say it is. Yes, it is not practically. It's really impossible in my state. I wish I could. It'd be great. It can't be done. So yes. Jerome says, SEAL Team Sharpe is awesome. Yes. Join SEAL Team Sharpe. Do that. You can. LarrySharpe.com/volunteer. You see it right there. Please do it if you can. That'd be amazing. So Jan has reposted. Please repost, guys. If you can repost, please do so. So, all righty. Let's see if I can grab this here. Let's see. Roger. Thank you, Roger. He's also a member. Kim Ivey was right. GOP brags about taking food away. Dems brag about giving you food. Dems win, then don't deliver food. Or if they do, they give you a can of food. But you say thanks, but where's the can opener? Dems say I give you food. You say I can't eat about the can opener. Dems say the left is impossible to deal with. True. Wow. Roger. Well done. Yes. Here's what I will do. I will say, hey, I'm gonna stop impeding you from getting food. In fact, I'm gonna let you locally get even more food, and then I'm just leave you alone and eat what you want. That's what I'm gonna do. So yes. I'm sorry, I'm yapping away here because I had a cough. I apologize. Lunatic says, what policy will I repeal and what will they be replaced with? And as I said, I can go on forever if I wanted to. But let me touch the concept, which is I want New York City to go from a may issue to a shall issue. What I mean by that, right now, what the government says is, okay, Lunatic, you own a piece of land and you want to build something on it. No, we decide how you build it, when you build it. We decide whether you have it or not. No, not at all. You can't. We decide that, even though you own it. I want to change that. And what I mean by that is, so now you decide you want to build something, whatever that thing is on your land. Unless I can prove, hey, lunatic, you building that is going to impede on someone else's rights, is going to affect someone else's property, is going to harm somebody else. Unless I can show that, you get to build it. So I shall issue, unless there is some way that you will impede upon someone else. If that's true, I say, no, you may not build it. Here's why. Your current build shows it will affect other people that you shouldn't be affecting. Then, okay, you can't build it. But except for that, go. Right now, the opposite is true. You have to prove that it's okay to build. So that's for almost everything. That's the critical policy in New York City we want to change. The concept of may issue versus shall issue. Even for licensing. I want to run a business. I want to fix things. I want to do something. Unless the government can show that that will somehow affect someone else or impede someone else's rights or something like that, you get to do it. You get to build it. I want to start a business. I want a licensing for cutting hair, right? The thing that I talk about all the time. Am I somehow showing that I'm harming you in some way? If I am, okay, I get it. If I'm not, why? That's the critical aspect. I hope that was clear. So, all right. Let's see here. Kim says, it's my understanding that Trump took advice from Jesse Ventura for his 2015-2016 campaign. I don't doubt it. I mean, I don't doubt it. Mr. Taz says, privatize everything so that they have no expenditures. The problem I have with libertarianism is it doesn't put caps on the size of corporations. At one point, they become governments. Well, let me cover two pieces if I could. Mr. Taz, every time I talk to libertarians and I tell them policy, they always say the same thing. Similar to what Josh said, what you said. Privatize everything, but I hear it all the time. That's not going to happen in my state. It's just not. There is no way. The people in New York City said for 20, 30, 40 years, stuff's not working. What should we do? Freedom? Even Republicans? No, they went socialist. They went further left. And you're sitting there going, privatize everything? You either don't live in New York or don't know New York. That's never going to happen. I might as well say, I'll snap my fingers and go to the moon. The result will be exactly the same. There is no chance, zero of that happening. So what do? If you notice, I do have a plan that's similar to that. Two things that are similar. I'll cover two of them. Piece number one is raising money through bridges and tunnels. People will always say, libertarians will always say, well, you just privatize bridges. Never going to happen, fantasy. Not in New York State. I don't know, maybe your state, maybe you're different. Never going to happen in my state. Instead, we will lease out naming rights to those bridges. So the city will still own the bridge. The state will still own the bridge. It still inspect the bridge to make sure it's still safe. And of course, the people who lease the naming rights will also pay for the maintenance. And they'll pay us $100 million a year so they can put their name on that bridge. Now, of course, the pushback is twofold. Number one, I go all the time. Well, Larry, I don't want to see someone's name on this. Shut up. You see nothing but advertisements every time you scroll your phone. When you're online, you see tons of advertisements. Stop. That's number one. You see it already, so stop acting like you don't want to see it. You see it already. So number one, stop. Two, great. What's your answer? That's my response. What's your answer? You're going to sell the bridge? You're not going to. That's a fantasy. Are you going to somehow raise taxes on the rich to pay for the MTA? Been hearing that for 40 years. Doesn't work. Never has worked. Every place along the world who's tried that's failed every single time. No, this works. How do I know it will work? Because when I proposed this in 2018, I had bankers coming to me asking me how long the lease would be. And I said 12 years front loaded. Yes. So that's piece one. So I'm not going to privatize. It's not going to work. It's not a thing. I can instead now lease naming rights out to it. When that happens, the response is cash comes in. The bridges are still safe, which is great. You front load in case they screw up, so you get to still keep the cash. Well, not all of it, but most of it. And then get another person to come do that. How will they do it? Because they do the same thing, $20 million every year for a stadium that is used on weekends. Of course, they do it for us. Absolutely. And now you can put money towards the MTA without having to raise MTA prices. You can put money towards the potholes without having to raise taxation. That's how you fix is the first piece. The second piece, besides that, is you want to let corporations grow, of course, absolutely. And he says the only problem I have with libertarianism is that it doesn't put caps on the size of corporations. So everything else is perfect? Anyway, besides that isn't the point, right? If you don't allow for corporate capture, there's the key. If you don't allow for corporate capture, it doesn't matter. Every Goliath falls if you have tons of Davids. And that's been true for the entire history of the world. That's as long as you have lots of Davids, Goliaths fall. The question is, are you going to stifle the Davids in New York State? Yes. If you stifle Davids, which we do in New York State and most parts of the country, of course, the big boys keep going. Of course they do. But if you don't stifle them, the Davids fall. I'm sorry, the Goliaths fall. Always. That's how you do it. You say at one point they become governments. No, they fall. Because the one thing the corporations don't have is a monopoly of force. That's the one thing they don't have. Governments have that. That's the key difference. Corporations don't have that. You are incorrect. So hope that at least answers your question at least. So yes. All righty. Let's see here. I grabbed a bunch of those. So Kim says, is any merch going to say SEAL Team Sharpe? Now maybe it should. I'm thinking that now. Maybe it should. That's not bad. All right. Let me move to a second piece if I could. I covered that piece of policy. I want to move a little further before I keep going on. And that one is the idea of opportunity, which was kind of covered by my previous comment with Lunatic, which was I want to make sure that people are able to move forward. This is a massive change in licensing. But I'm going to grab a second piece, which kind of also goes into affordability. And that is I want to follow the idea that right now is in Texas, where I want to end all zoning, like you do in Texas. Larry, you're going to end zoning? People can just build stuff? Yes. Goes along what I talk about with Lunatic. Let people build. Let people build. Now, this heavily goes for farmland and for small businesses. Let me explain why. Right now in farmland, you've got a farm space upstate New York. You're probably struggling. The odds are you're struggling. You may not be, but the odds are you are struggling. If you are struggling right now, it's because you can't grow the way you want to grow. Well, imagine if you were a farmer in New York State and you wanted to put a retail shop on your land, you could just do it. Imagine if you want to put a wholesale facility on your land, you could just do it. Imagine if you want to put a manufacturing plant on your land, you could just do it. The kind of opportunity that would happen for small farmers upstate New York would assist them tremendously. So now they can get better investment. Now they can they don't have to just put their farm up, for a loan or force themselves to become Monsanto farmers or die, which is what many of them have to do, or just help the government pays them off somehow. Yeah, you can end that by having them do that. But here's the most important piece of that. The opportunity is not just for the farmers. The opportunity is for the youth. If you know a lot of farmers, particularly upstate New York farmers, the youth don't want to stay. They show up, when they're kids and for their family reunions and such, whatever that might be, or birthday parties or sadly deaths or marriages. Otherwise, they leave. They go someplace else. They don't want to stay on the farm. Okay, I'm not mad at them for that. But imagine if the farm could become basically a small business. So the farm is still a farm, and it has a retail shop or a wholesale shop or a manufacturing plant or whatever the family wants it to have. Well, now Jenny and Frank can decide, hey, maybe I do want to stay here. I don't want to be a farmer, but I want to be a marketer, or I want to be an operations person, or whatever. I want to be an HR person, whatever they want to be. Okay, do it here. Do it here. Do it for the family farm. The family farm is now a wholesaler, or it's a manufacturer, or it's whatever. Let them do it. All of a sudden, you'll find that when that begins to happen, families start coming back together, right? Families start coming back together. So I do want that to be an issue, right? I do want that to be an issue. That's an opportunity piece that's important for New York State. Add on top of that, treat all small businesses, farms included, with copying a Wyoming law, which says if you decide to sell only within the state of New York, and just sheet of paper, I sign and I agree. That's it. You are immune from all federal regulatory bodies. Now, people who lean left get mad immediately. But oh my God, if that, then we'll all die because there won't be federal guidelines, whatever. First of all, people die now with federal guidelines and one, so that doesn't mean anything. In any case, the reality of it is, if that happens, now there'll still be local, state laws, state rules, they'll still exist. But now when it comes to slaughtering your animals, as an example, you have to follow the massive federal guidelines, which of course go back to corporate capture, which is Mr. Taz's point. Corporate capture makes it so tough, so difficult for them to slaughter effectively. They have to follow the rules of the big boys. Well, don't. But Larry, I'm scared of that. Great. They will have to put on their farm, they're not following federal guidelines. If you don't like that, don't buy their product. No worries. The community decides. The community decides whether or not they want to do that or not. One step further. Now you can easily have farm to table locally, local people. You can easily have localized co-ops. Easy day. You're not following federal guidelines anymore. That will change how that works. Assist it tremendously. What if you're a local business? You're a diner. Well, you're only going to sell local people. Why are you following federal guidelines? You don't have to. Any business, sell locally. I'm encouraging you to sell locally. That will increase opportunities here in New York State. And you might go, but Larry, I don't want to do business. That's not what I want to do. Why do you keep helping these business people? No worries. Another one for you. How about if you owe money at the end of the year to New York State, whether that's through fines, fees, taxation, whatever it is, you got to send a check to New York State. Well, you can take $250 of that and give that to a local, non-government funded nonprofit in New York State, any way you want. If it's in your own county, it's double to $500. Larry, $250, that's not much money. $500, not much money. True. What happens when 100 people do it? 1,000 people. 10,000 people. Wow. Larry, I don't want to do a business thing. I want to build a shelter for single moms. Okay. I want to just fix potholes. Okay. If your community wants that and they're ready to give you their $500 to $250, you can build out an organization to do that thing. Fix potholes. Make a shelter for single moms. Make a homeless shelter for vets. I don't care. Whatever you think your local group needs. Maybe you want a facility for people who are addicts. Okay, is that what your community needs? Go. But Larry, what happens if you give them your money and they fail? Okay, what happens when we give the government money and they fail? They take more money. They fail and take more money. What happens if I tell you I'm going to be the greatest pothole fixer in all of Wyoming County? Awesome. That's wonderful. That's great. So you do that, and I suck at it. I'm a liar. I'm terrible. What happens? Next year I get nothing because I'm full of it. I'm nothing, and I'm pariah, and somebody's going to sue me. So nothing but bad's going to happen. If I fail, I pay a price. When government fails, they get rewarded. That's how we have more opportunity. I give a bunch of opportunity pieces. Let me grab some more. All righty. Let's see here. All right. Tony says, are tariffs given to states or is it all for federal? Tariffs go into the general fund, so it can go either. They go into the general fund for the federal government. Now, could they decide to do a tariff check to everyone? They could if they wanted to. Could they decide to take that money back to states? They could if they wanted to. Could they decide to just spend it on some foreign war and blow somebody up? Yep, all of those things. Tariffs just go into the federal coffers and then go wherever they want. So, hope that answers your question. I would hope they'd give it to us, but they won't. It'll go blow somebody up, I'm sure. So, there we go. All right. Libertarian says, what can Larry do as New York governor to keep corrupt judges from continuing to do what they do best, be corrupted? Here's the issue. Here's the issue with judges. Judges are beholden to no one. You might go, but Larry, yes, they are. They're beholden to the Constitution. That's a joke. If you think that, you don't know judges. They're not. They swear an oath to the Constitution. That's true. Their oath means nothing. Let me repeat that. Their oath means nothing. How do I know that? Because look at all the laws in New York State that are blatantly unconstitutional. Not even close. Judges do not interpret the law. But Larry says so. Yes, they're supposed to. They don't. What judges do is follow the law. They're not supposed to follow the law, but they've made this up. Judges have made things up that we all follow. Lawyers too, but judges have made things up that we all follow because they're judges. And they're utter garbage. Judges are not supposed to follow the law. They're supposed to interpret the law. The brain-dead chimps that in our assemblies who make terrible laws, the check against them is supposed to be the judges who go, that law's not constitutional. No, idiot, you can't do that. They don't do that. They go, well, that's the law, so we got to follow it. Why? Well, because they made the law. I know, but we have to follow the law. No, you don't. Yes, we do. Why? Because we've said so for years, and now you have to believe it. Full of shit. Next thing. Why do they not care? Judges are beholden to only one thing. Only one. Their political parties. Wait a minute, Larry. Judges aren't supposed to be partisan. Correct. They're not supposed to be. They're not because blah, blah, blah. No, they absolutely are. They're totally partisan. Of course they are. Why? How do they get elected? Through election series, which they're put up. Most of them are unopposed. So they're put up by their parties. So if they're good party members, they get selected to become judges. Or they get selected by the executive in that area, right? Whether it's through the governor or the mayor, whatever, they get selected. The president selects them. So they get selected or they get elected within their party structure. That's what I care about. Nothing else. Nothing else. So how do we change that? How do we change that? We need a rating system for judges. Similar to like a Yelp type system. I mean, obviously Yelp isn't the perfect answer, but something like that. Yes, you need to be rating judges, 100%. Rate the judges so that they are embarrassed. There's nothing else you can do. So that people now, once a judge is seen as so obviously unfair, and some of them are insanely unfair, they are no longer seen, they'll be seen as, no longer seen as impartial. At that point, they can be removed. Now you can start impeaching judges. Larry, you're saying to impeach judges? Yes. That's what I'm saying. Yes. 100%. Just impeach one or two of them. The rest will fall in line. Now, why do I want to impeach them? Do I want activist judges? For the Constitution, yes. Yes. I would love to have constitutionally activist judges all over the place. I would love that. But we don't have that. We have activist judges for their political party. The wrong reason. This is the reason why Washington said don't do political parties, where our Constitution does not have political parties in it. Right? Why do we? Political parties aren't part of the Constitution, but they run our government, and they're not supposed to. Judges were supposed to stop that. They were supposed to stop that, and they didn't. We have to shame them and judge the judges so that they will do their job, which is to be activists for the Constitution. That's what they're supposed to be. They are not. I hope that answers your question. So, and they have failed us again and again and again across the state. It's embarrassing how bad it is. All right. All righty. Kim says, just curious, do you have any idea when you might get to Chautauqua County? I'm hoping I can make a 10-hour drive to meet you in person. I was just there. Like, just there, Kim. Hold on. I will look. I was just there. Let me find out where I was when I was. I was just there. Just hold on. I was just there September 26th, 2 weeks ago. You just missed me. I will be back though, because I said, as you know, I do cover the entire state. So I was just there, but hold on. I will be back in Chautauqua. When will I be in Chautauqua again? Now you're making me think. I'm looking through my schedule. Do I sound cool, Kim, when I say schedule like that? Do I sound like I'm smart? Not that I am, but I sound like I'm smart. Let me see what I can do here. If I can find it. Close. I'll be in Erie County on December 6th. So that's kind of close. Let me see when I can find Chautauqua. We'll be coming here soon. I know. I'm looking through my schedule, and man, it's going to be a while. There we go. January 10th. I'll be in Starkville County January 10th. I'll be in Erie County, which is close, December 6th. I will be in Starkville County January 10th. So there we go. Hope that helps. Brandon says, what is his strategy to defeat Mamdani, save New York City from communism? Here's the issue. I cannot defeat Mamdani. You guys know I've spent time with him here. He is my assemblyman. I've interviewed him here a couple years back. Mamdani, if he wins, there's an advantage. There is an advantage. And the advantage is he actually doesn't have as much power as people think. The interesting thing about New York City is the only city in the country that I know of, at least the only major city. If there are smaller ones, I don't know, but the only major city that covers more than one county. Most cities just cover one county or in one county. This covers multiple counties. What does that mean? That means the governor has lots of power. Not just that our bridge and tunnel system go into other states. So the president has some power. Note the president talks about whether we can have congestion pricing in New York City. This doesn't even make sense. But New York City covers multiple states and multiple counties. So he's as powerful as one would think. The answer is coming up with the right answers. New York City people want answers, Brandon, and they're not wrong to want them. What do you hear me say often? Democrats are very good at mentioning problems, saying the problem, expressing the problem. They're very good at it, right? Mamdani is, without question, addressing a real problem. Affordability is a real problem. He's right. Rents are a real problem. True. His answers aren't great. If I can have a better answer, that's how I fix it. If I can't have a better answer, there's no saving it. When people are drowning, my friend, and someone puts a hand out to help you up, you don't care whether that's a communist, fascist, you don't care. It doesn't matter to you. Man, I have a cough tonight. Oh, bad timing for me. Hope that answers your question at least. Roger says PB to finance infrastructure. He means public bank. So let me pass safety for now and shift into liberty. And there are two big overarching issues I want to work on. Maybe three. Two, maybe three. But first one is the idea of allowing for a public bank. But not just a public bank, New York State, allowing for local public banks. I prefer county level. I think Roger, let's go to municipality. I'm not sure I'm there. I'm not there, but I'm definitely at the county level. Now, why would that matter? Why would I be open to a public bank? Now, it's not a requirement. If you're a county, you don't want a public bank, it's all voluntary. If you notice, all my policies, none of them are enforceable. No enforcement. Voluntary. If your county says we would like a public bank, you can put your money together and come out with a public bank. Now, if we have a statewide public bank, that could help to finance the localized public bank, or at least back them up if need be, right? Acting like an FDIC. Public banks can then become literally credit unions, right? They can become localized credit unions. Happy to have credit unions. We should be supporting credit unions. We should be supporting co-op banks. We should be supporting co-op farms, co-op businesses. We should be supporting worker co-ops to the best of our ability. We should be treating them like anything else. Again, no enforcement. If you feel like your business would work well as a worker co-op, let's make it happen. Let's support all forms of business. And my gut tells me, I don't know this to be true, but my gut tells me that if we just support worker co-ops, there will be certain types of businesses that will more naturally work as worker co-ops, and some that won't, and some that will naturally be better as the one person runs it as a CEO. And I don't know which ones those are, but my gut says the market will figure this out and we'll start doing it. And you'll just see that, oh, this business works better when it's a work co-op. So we'll set that up that way. This one will work better when you got one CEO. Will work that way. The problem is right now we have and you know this, Roger, other people don't really know this. We have a cultural bias against worker co-ops because we see it as socialism, so it's bad. And I don't say that socialism is bad. What I say is involuntary socialism is bad. But if you want to be socialist in your own life or style, nothing wrong with that. And the example I give all the time is the Amish. The Amish are voluntarily socialist. Good. You can live that way in my world. Enjoy. You choose to join the Amish. Join them. Enjoy. Do it. No worries. You want to have a worker co-op? Absolutely. We should be supporting them like any other business. And we don't. There is a bias in finance, a bias in government, a bias in culture. That this is somehow a bad thing. Now, how could you support them? All right. One thing you could do as an example is, let's say you have a very simple, a right of first refusal law. I don't know, 90 days, 30 days. I'm not sure what it is, 60 days, whatever the right amount of time is. And you say, okay, anyone who's going bankrupt or the business is going under, the workers have 60 days to decide if they want to buy that. They want to be the first buyer, right? Buy that business, and they can take the business over and run it as a co-op. Now, how would we help? Several things. Number one, you'd hopefully have some form of local co-op, some kind of local credit union that's hopefully supported by the local people, which means local businesses would want to be involved in this, that would know this is a good business or not, and be prepared to back them up. But second thing you can do, you could have the New York State government say, okay, here we go. We're going to give you money anyway. What do I mean by that? All you guys are going out of losing your jobs. We're going to give you money for unemployment anyway. We're going to give you X thousands of dollars over the next 6 months or a year anyway. Tell you what we do. We will give all that money up front in the form of a loan if you want. So the money I'm going to give you anyway, I'll give it up front to you. If you, instead of sitting on your butt waiting for 6 months or a year, you join us worker co-op, I'll give all the money up front in the loan. Boom. And I'll back that loan 1-to-1. So if 10 of you are going to have 30 grand each for 300 grand, the state will back it for another 300 grand, and the bank would bank 300 grand. You got 900 grand now to buy this thing and do something. Not a bad deal. Something like that could help worker co-ops all over the state. And again, voluntary. You don't like it? Just quit. Just sell your business, whatever. Don't bother. You don't have to. But now people doing that, somebody's going to say, hey, you know that restaurant that went under? Yeah, it used to be whatever, Dave's Diner. Now the workers own it. What? Yeah, the workers own it. It's still running. We should go see it. Boom. People start doing it. So that you could do that. Now, Rod's talking about financing infrastructure. I think you could do that. But again, that will be up to your local people to do so. Now, if you add my other issue, where you can give $500, right, for people from your taxes or fines or fees or the state, you add that with the public bank, localized communities could build up their communities, not the way someone in Albany tells them, money being thrown away in a corrupt system to cronies. You could have local people build local things the way they want them to be built. The governor doesn't have to be involved. The terribly corrupt Empire State Development Corporation, how terrible is that? To be worried about. Throw that in garbage. You could have a local chamber of commerce have more power than the state government. That'd be way better. Way better. You'd have less corruption. Look, you're gonna have corruption and failure. Yeah, you're always gonna have corruption and failure, but you're gonna have a whole lot less when it's local. Why? When I gotta send one thug to Albany to get $1 billion, that's way easy. But now I gotta send 62 thugs to 62 counties to get maybe $100,000. That ain't worth it. That's not worth it. No, I'm not doing it. It's just not worth it. So now local people can build local things the way they want to. Will there be mistakes? Yes. But there'll also be massive successes too that other people can follow. You'll see, and more important than all of this, you will find you'll rebuild community. Rebuild community. Critical piece. Critical piece. Let me keep going. A couple more big ones. This is at top level. Top level. I want, when it comes to liberty, two important parts to liberty. One of them is the idea of allowing New York State to be a citizens ballot initiative state. Right now, can you get ballot initiatives in New York State? You can. It does exist. But can the people decide? No. The assembly decides. Our assembly goes, yeah, we're going to put this on the ballot. And why would they do that? Because they don't be responsible. What our assembly does very well is be responsible for nothing. They're really good at that. I mean, they're so good at that. So they'll blame the governor and make the governor do something, for choice one. If they want to do something else, they'll just go, oh, let me put it on the ballot and let the people vote for it. And then if they fail or it works, we can blame the people. That's what our assembly does very well. But we should allow citizens to be able to put initiatives through just getting signatures, right? And if people care about something on the ballot, to do two things. One, to make new laws, but two, to repeal laws. Yes, repeal laws. When it comes to laws in general, we should be able to repeal them if we want them. They're bad. They don't work. Let me go one step further than that. There should be a full-on law for everything. I'm not sure if I want this to be a constitutional amendment. I'm starting to think maybe it should be. And that is every law in New York State should have a 6-year sunset law. What does that mean? That means every single law in New York State ever created, after 6 years, if it isn't revoted on, goes away. This should make Lunatic very happy if you're still listening, Lunatic. See? Repeal the laws, all of them. Mr. Taz, all of them, unless we want them again. So all the stupid laws that have been in the books forever that the prosecutors use to overcharge all the time, they're all going away. They're all going away. Yes, because why would you keep voting on them? They're not worth anything anymore. So make them go away. Now, but Larry, get this all the time. Every time I say it. And what happens when they forget about murder? Okay, first off, again, to be clear, if they actually forget about murder, shame on them, number one. Why would they forget about murder? That's insanely dumb. But people say all the time, I get that same argument. But let's say they do. The assembly forgets to re-up murder. Okay, they forgot. Fine. The first guy who's going to get charged with murder, the lawyer goes, you can't charge with murder because murder is not against the law in New York State because the guys never re-voted on murder. Oh my God, he did murder. Oh my God. So they'll charge him with manslaughter for this time. And then they'll yell at the guys to go redo murder now. Done. And they'll go redo murder. It's fine. The war's not going to end. And then shame on them for it anyway. But again, that along with the next issue, which is make sure that each law is voted on single issue laws. So what's that going to make the assembly spend a lot of time doing? Re-looking at old laws and get rid of them. Yes. Larry, they'll be so busy, they can't pass any legislation. Yes. But then we can't have a specialized law about fraud. That's a specialized super duper law that we can't charge 4 different times. Yes, good. Fraud is a law, is a crime. It should be. It's fine. We're good. So yes, hope that answers your question. So, all righty, cover that piece. We do have a super chat. All righty, $5 super chat from that Liberty Lady. Thank you. The old New York isn't working anymore. It's time for a new New York led by Larry Sharpe. Oh, thank you so much. Guys, if you do want to super chat me, you can, not through the regular super chat ways, but instead through going to LarrySharpe.com/super chat. That will help out tremendously. If you do that, please do that. Super chat. I'll read it off here if you want to. If you say, Larry, I don't want super chat. I just want to support you because you have a lot of cool ideas. True. You can do that. Simply go to LarrySharpe.com/donate. You can give anywhere up to $9,000. I know some of you are like, man, I wanted to give you 10. Nope, 9 is the max. Here's the cool thing though. Anything you give if you don't live in New York State will be matched up to $6,000 by another donor that I have here, which is great. Matching funds. So you give $10, it's 20. You give 100, it's 200. But special if you live in New York State. If you live in New York State and we're able to raise over the course of this term $500,000, which you've done twice before, New York State will match 6 to 1. So if you live in New York State and you give me $10, $60 from New York State. You give me $100, $600 from New York State. New York State will only match up to $250. So if you're in New York State, give me $250, and New York State will throw another $1,500 at me. I know, crazy, right? But they will. That's how it works. Larry, you're saying I love you, but I can't give you any more cash. No worries, you can volunteer. We're going to have a volunteer phone call this Wednesday. I want you on that call. So how do you get on that call? Great, go volunteer. LarrySharpe.com/volunteer. Join SEAL Team Sharpe. We need you. Doesn't matter where you live. New York State, Hawaii, Alaska, Wyoming, does not matter. New Jersey, I'm sorry, bad as New York. Anyway, wherever you live, does not matter. Join, volunteer, SEAL Team Sharpe, LarrySharpe.com/volunteer. There will be a phone call for everyone who's going to be volunteering this Wednesday. I want you on that call. How do you get there? Right there. That's how you do it. All right. I covered a bunch of those pieces. All right. Last piece when it comes to liberty I want to grab. All right. This is a big one. The lockdowns from 2020 devastated New York State. Devastated New York City. New York City used to be the city that never sleeps. Those days are over. New York City now sleeps. New York State's been devastated. The culture has been changed by the lockdowns. Our youth have been trashed by these lockdowns. I want to propose and enact a New York State constitutional amendment that bans lockdowns no matter what. No matter what. Bans lockdowns no matter what. But Larry, what about emergency? That's why it must be an amendment. If it's a law, the governor would just go, emergency, for whatever emergency he or she decides, and then they'll just lock us down again. No, it must be a constitutional amendment directly linked to the First Amendment, so that when the governor does it anyway, and the governor will anyway, when they do it anyway, now we want to move to, when it goes to the Supreme Court, it's the First Amendment. What people don't get, what too many people don't get, is hear the First Amendment and go, that's my freedom of speech. True, but it's not just freedom of speech. The First Amendment is also freedom of the press, freedom to assemble, freedom of religion, freedom to petition your government. Well, when you lock down, you can't do any of those, can you? Yeah, and if I remember right, the First Amendment doesn't say, here is your rights, unless the governor's scared. It doesn't say that. It goes, here are your rights, period. Even if the governor's scared. Even if you're scared. Even if you're worried. It's still your rights. They don't go away because you're scared. Not how that works. We have to make that happen. Lockdowns were the key to everything else. That's where the mandates came from. That's everything. It happens again and again and again. We have to end it. We need a constitutional amendment that bans lockdowns no matter what. If you want to lock down, if you want to stay in your home, if you want to shelter in place, you may and you should. You may and you should. The government cannot do so because emergency that they decide. So now you can't worship. Now you can't assemble. Now you can't speak. Now you can't travel. You can't do anything because government says emergency. Never again. The damage done to our youth, the damage done to Gen Z, we won't know how bad it is for another 10 years. They've been devastated. That the lockdowns crushed them. And those people now are going to be raising children one day. Maybe half of them aren't even going to have kids anymore. We have destroyed them. Destroyed them. That has to happen. All right. Let me grab some of these if I can. All righty. Where am I? All right. Roger says, Larry, we need to transition from a corporatized economy to a cooperativized economy. We don't need to do that. No. What we need to do is allow both of them to coexist and let the market decide which ones work best wherever. That's the key. We want a people-centered economy, right? Corporations are not people. People-centered economy, which means some people will say corporations do this better. Some people will say cooperatives do this better. So I don't want to become a cooperativized economy. I want to become a mixed economy that is open for both, that the market decides which works best without corporate capture and with tons of Davids. So when Goliaths come, they get to be knocked down. That's where I want us to go to. And that will take time. That will take time. So, all righty. Brendan says, I know you can't be okay with this, Larry. There'll be zero opportunity after the takeover. That's not true. Again, I explain why that's not true. And look, Curtis Sliwa is also running for mayor, right? Along Mamdani. He says the same thing I say. The fear-mongering Republicans have over Mamdani, it's tough, but it's overblown. De Blasio was a socialist too. De Blasio was a communist too. He was an open communist also. So was de Blasio. And while New York City suffered horribly under de Blasio, he was a terrible mayor. And we've learned nothing from that as New Yorkers. We've learned nothing. The world didn't end, right? De Blasio, this is a true story. De Blasio was having a press conference, and Fox News did a hit piece on him saying, oh, de Blasio, he wants to redistribute wealth. He wants to give money from the rich to the poor, blah, blah, blah. That's what he wants to do. De Blasio played that piece during his press conference and said, I want to give kudos to Fox News. They got it right. Yes, I want to redistribute wealth. He said that. Like, you can look. He said in a press conference, yes, I'm taking money from the rich, give it to the poor. He said that. And when the lockdowns first happened and they had to find a place for homeless people, he shoved them into high, like 4- and 5-star hotels in the Upper West Side. People in that area, they are paying $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a month in rent. Wealthy people. And they went, you can't do this here. We're going to leave. De Blasio said, then leave. I'm not joking. This actually happened. He said, then leave. Go. I don't care. You aren't pure enough. Capitalist, get out. Did not care. Now, Cuomo was like, no, stay. Hochul, stay. De Blasio, leave. I'm going to have my socialist utopia with or without you. That's what he said, leave. He was as bad as Mamdani. In fact, he backs Mamdani completely. And the world didn't end. Did it suck? Yes. And will it suck if Mamdani wins? I think yes. Will the world end? No. The propaganda coming from Republicans is just, I get it. There's an election. They want Sliwa to win. I understand it. But the propaganda, even Sliwa said it. He's like, we've survived it. Dinkins was bad. He wasn't a socialist. Well, he kind of was. Not as bad as de Blasio. We survived it. It's not the end of the world, Brandon. It just isn't. It's not the end of the world. It will suck. Not the end of the world. If the governor changes, it'll be better. That's what I would say. There we go. So Kimga says, Larry, make New York the model for 49 more states. Look, here's the reality. The funny part is that some Democrats actually understood this. For those who don't know, Democrats have a book out called Abundance. It's getting hammered. Democrats aren't paying attention because it it actually holds Democrats accountable. You can't do that, Kim. That's like against the rules. Ezra Klein and another guy wrote the book. I forgot who wrote the book. And it talks about this idea that, look, if the Democrats are so good, and these are Democrats writing this, like they get it. If the Democrats are so good, why aren't the cities run by Democrats the model for other cities across the world? Why aren't they the model for every city in the nation? Why aren't they? They're not, because it doesn't work. And they wrote the book saying we have to have a different kind of mindset, an abundance mindset. And their concept, which to be forward, I'm going to give Ezra Klein and I forget the other guy's name credit. Again, they're very good at showing problems. That's their skill set. And they said it's a problem. And here's the biggest problem: red tape, regulation, rules and regulations, the bureaucracy. And Democrats have been the worst at putting together. They don't want to cut anything. They just add more and more and more and more rules, which makes moving through anything impossible. And that's why they can't get anything done. This is their idea. This is what they put in their book. And Democrats went, wait, that makes sense. But wait, that makes us look bad. Therefore, it's wrong and you're evil. How dare you, heretic? And now Democrats hate Ezra Klein and they hate the abundance mindset. You can watch the left attack it and call it bad and terrible. I wish I was joking. It's true. So yes, if I'm going to say that my way of thinking is correct, the more freedom, the better. The more medical freedom, supporting libertarianism, supporting the Maha movement, supporting medical freedom. If that's correct, then I need to make New York State the model. And other states should look at us and go, oh my God, look at what Larry Sharpe's doing in New York. We should copy him. If they're not saying that, I think I'm failing. I would judge myself on one important issue off the bat. And that will be in the first 4 years, did I stop the bleeding of people? Right? Did I stop the bleeding of people leaving? Did I stop it? If I did, I'm winning. If I didn't, I'm losing. I'm not the model that I want to achieve. So yes. All right. I'm sorry. I keep muting myself because I apologize. Timing for me is bad, but I said I would do this, so I'm doing it, even though I clearly have a bad cough. So I apologize. I don't want to cough in your ear if you're listening to me, so I keep muting myself so I don't have to cough into your ear every 5 minutes. Let me repeat this again. I apologize. Guy So Smooth says, will you think about boosting small businesses as part of your policies? Something like cutting red tape for licensing and permits and offering low-interest loans or grants to local entrepreneurs, especially in underserved areas. I did bring this up before. I'll let me bring it up now if I could. First thing, I want to treat all small farms and small businesses special in that they should be immune from all federal regulatory bodies. Why am I punishing them with that red tape? So that red tape immediately goes out the window. That's number one, out the window. Second piece, as I mentioned, New York State, when it comes to all licensing, all building permits, all everything, we should be a shall issue state instead of a may issue state. And the difference, as I mentioned earlier, is may issue means, well, if I like it, I'll let you have it, right? So it's not really your business. I'm still government. I kind of still own it. No, shall issue. Unless I can show that what you want to do is going to somehow harm or impede someone's rights or affect somebody else in some way, shape, or form, yes, you get it, 100%. That's what I want to do. I do not want to offer low-interest loans or grants. I do not. Why? Low-interest loans almost always wind up in the long run hurting. We see it constantly. They create a bubble in the market, right? And crashes. And grants have strings attached. So then now the government's deciding how you run things. I don't want that at all. I don't want that at all. So licensing, permitting, yes, as much as possible. Letting that go to the best of my ability. Lowering taxes, I mentioned, making the tax burden for the businesses at 6% flat. and having a floor of say 50 grand, 100 grand, something like that, that number that you don't pay any taxes underneath that, over that, you pay, on the first dollar after that, 6% straight, and then lowering that down to 2% over 8 years. I think that will also help. A couple of those things can make things work tremendously, can make things work much better. So yeah, thanks for that question. I hope that answers your question. So yes. All righty. Shelly says, I grew up on raw milk. It never hurt us unless two of us were fighting for the cream for our cereal at 6 a.m. Look, the reality of it is, if you don't like raw milk, don't drink raw milk. It's literally that simple, right? If you like raw milk, drink raw milk. What you will hear me say often, and when someone asked me this, I forgot when this was asked. I think this was during my interview on Adam Moreno. Maybe it was that interview. How do I look at the Maha world, and how do I connect? What's my message for Maha? And here's my message. You own your body. That's it. You own your life. If you think drinking raw milk is awesome, please drink raw milk. If you don't, please don't. That's the issue. If you feel that's the best move for your health, or not even for your health, if you just think you enjoy it, it tastes good, and you think it's not good for your health, it's your body. It's your life. We all make changes. We all make decisions, how that works. And if you decide, hey, I want to jump out of an airplane and skydive, even though I might die. Shelly, you own your life. Go skydive. That's how that works, right? So that's the issue. I think that's the key. Raw milk. But Larry, people will get sick having raw milk, and people get sick smoking cigarettes, and some don't. So should I ban cigarettes now? Should I ban everything that I think is wrong? How many times has the government been wrong? Remember when the government told us that the right answer was the food pyramid? You have a problem, eat more bread. Something's wrong, eat more bread. You have cancer, eat more bread. You have a heart attack, eat more bread. Everything was eat more wheat. Got to have your wheat and your carbs. That was their answer for everything. Remember that? Oh, don't have proteins. Bad. Too much red meat's bad for you. Remember that? All wrong, all lies for years. And it was a time when they told us cigarettes were healthy for us. That was back in the 50s. Yeah, no, terrible idea. Let people choose what they want. That's the most important piece. So, yes. All righty. Phil says, who will judge the judgers? Culture and society will. That's who. That's who. Yes. That's who. Lunatic says, Larry, you're a glutton for punishment. Sadly, you are correct. Yes. Absolutely. All right. Roger, I think, is yelling at me. He says, the libertarian motto or freedom for you to do, you should be DIY. And the best way to honor this is via direct democracy, allowing for us to go completely around. That's what I was talking about. Yeah, I'm with you, buddy. I'm with you. Look, when it comes to the Maha side, you own your life. You own your health. You own your body. When it comes to the libertarian side, one of the key pieces in New York State is localism, localism, localism. Down to the individual as far as I can get. The less centralized control I can have, the more localism, the better. Now, it doesn't make it perfect. I want to be clear. What people always get is, well, so now localism and everything's perfect. First of all, I never promised perfect. And anyone who does that is straw manning because they know their system sucks. So now you do this and it's perfect. Is your system now perfect? No. Is your Democrat or Republican perfect? No. So then I guess yours sucks too. Great. I'm better looking than your Democrat or Republican, so vote for me. How about that? Because no one's perfect. I don't measure my ideas or policies against perfection. Anyone who does that will always lose. None of us are perfect. Of course not. You should. Everyone should measure their policies and their ideas against the status quo. Is it going to move you in the right direction? Are things going to be better? Is stuff going to make more sense? Yes. Everything I'm telling you, I think will. So, yeah, localize the best of our ability. Hopefully one day we localize down to the individual. That would be amazing. Right now, we're nowhere near that. We are just nowhere near that. So yes. All right. I hope I answered that question there. Okay. Andrew says Western New York needs Larry Sharpe. Someone, I remember in 2018, the Republican candidate was being interviewed by some local TV station. I forgot where. A bunch of reporters were around. And one reporter goes, "Hey, how are you going to handle Larry Sharpe in Western New York? You know, Western New York is Sharpe country." After that aired, all of a sudden, the Republican Party gave that guy another $1 million. And all of a sudden, all the hit pieces came out of Western New York all of a sudden. Larry Sharpe is anti-gun, which is clearly garbage. Larry Sharpe's anti-law enforcement. My dad was in law enforcement. All garbage. Total lies. Just all started coming out. I loved it. I was like, great. It's amazing. We took that. We put it on our social media. It was amazing. It was just good stuff, right? Because it made us more legitimate. I didn't mind at all. And this is the thing that a lot of people, particularly when they're running independent, they're worried. They go, "You don't understand. You're independent. You're going to be perfect. You can't give them anything to jump on." And I said the opposite. What are you talking about? No, just it doesn't matter. What do you mean it doesn't matter? You got to be crystal clean. They'll just make shit up. You can be the cleanest guy on the planet. They just make shit up. They will just make it up. And they just made it up. As when in 2018, when Republicans thought I might be a threat, they just made stuff up. Didn't matter what was real or not. They didn't care. Just made stuff up. And they'll do it again. If they think I'm a threat now, Democrats or Republicans, if everyone think I'm a threat, they'll just make stuff up. They just go, "And Larry Sharpe killed a puppy." They'll just make it up. They'll just make it up. It doesn't matter. And I'll have to defend myself. I mean, I won't, because I don't care. I won't defend myself. But they'll just, Larry, what about these puppy allegations? Yeah, it was a Tuesday. I was pissed off. What are you going to do? Sometimes you got to kill a puppy. That's what happens. I'll probably say that. That's probably what I would say. I don't care. It doesn't matter. You know me, you don't. I've been doing this for 8 years. It's why I'm out here doing it. And I hope it's a soundbite. Larry Sharpe agreed to kill a pup, whatever. That'd be great. I love that. So, yes. Anyway, so I'll keep moving. All righty. Kim says, "Yes, Larry, you sound very smart." Oh, thank you. It's good. It's my schedule. It's my schedule. 100%. Shelly says, "Just looked it up. Letitia James just won under $7 million from Monsanto for Roundup only, and none of the money went to victims. And Roundup put warnings on Roundup." Yeah, remember, when the government sues you, or when the government, punishes you, the government gets that money. The crime isn't against you. The crime is against the government. So yeah. So the government got $7 million. You didn't get any, Shelly. The government did. Of course. So that works. Macy says, "Want to donate to Larry's campaign? LarrySharpe.com says donate." Yes, correct. Sorry. Absolutely, guys, but not just that. You can donate, absolutely. LarrySharpe.com/donate. This is a fundraiser too. I'm chatting with you. And you know what else? I need cash. In the past, have I sat here for 3 hours and said, "Give me money, give me money, give me money"? Only when I'm running for office. And I'm running for office. I've announced. It's official. I'm running. I need your cash. I need lots of cash. Why? Facebook ads, bumper stickers, travel, all the things required to get around this state. I have to do it. I need cash. And while I'm doing this, I can't work. I don't work anymore now. I know. I have a family and I'm not working now. I'm just going into debt. Yes. When I was done running in 2018, I was $100,000 in debt. When I was done running in 2022, I was $40,000 in debt. Less. I was better. I was better in 2022. I was better. Still, just heavily in debt. Why? To do this right, you have to work every day. I'm trying to become governor of the 4th largest state in the nation. I have to work every day. I have to study. I have to travel. I have to meet people, make phone calls, ask for money, raise money, all those things. Work with my team, fix things, make sure stuff like this works. Every day, I'm doing stuff like this. And I still have a family. And try to have friends. Not that many of those. But I try to have those too. So yeah. So you might go, "Well, Larry, I don't want to do all that stuff." Right. Lunatic says it too. Lunatic says you're a glutton for punishment. Yes. "Well, Larry, why are you doing this? Can someone else do it?" No. Let me repeat that. No. There is no one else who can. Larry, what are you, full of yourself? I mean, I am full of myself. But that isn't the point. I'm still correct. Do you know somebody who fits the criteria to run for governor of New York? Have to live in New York State for 12 years, be a resident for 12 years. You have to be at least 30 years old or older. You have to be able to not work for over a year. You have to be able to go on campaign across the state for over a year. Have all your garbage put online and all your mistakes online on the internet forever. You have to be savvy enough to know New York State laws and rules so that when people ask you questions, you can answer them. You have to be popular enough to get in the polls. You know somebody else who will do that? And won't just do it as another Republican or as another Democrat. You know somebody else who will do that? You don't. Because there's nobody else. There's nobody else who will actually build a third party out in this state except the guy you're talking to right now. That's it. I'm already polling at 6% across the state. There's no one who polls like I poll. There's no one who will stop and do it like I do it. There's no one who can talk like I can talk. There's no one who can do it. I'm the only guy. It's me or it's nobody. And maybe you don't care. It's nobody. Why are you watching? I don't know why you're watching then if you don't care. But if you care, do one of two things. One, donate. Two, volunteer. One of those two. Donate or volunteer. Whichever one you can do. I don't care which one. Do one of them. Do both if you can. If you're in a good spot, I mean, I don't know where you are, but if you're in a good spot, do both. If you're not, do one or the other. And if you won't do any of those, click the like button, man. You won't like? Holy crap, you're a bad person. Click like. Don't be a bad person. And then reshare this and repost this. That's free. No time. You can use any digit you want. I don't care what digit I'm not watching you. Use whatever digit you want. But of course, no matter what, go ahead and donate. There's 3 ways you can donate. Number 1, just donate. Head over to LarrySharpe.com/donate. If you don't live in New York, it's matched 1-to-1. You give $100, I get $200. If you live in New York State and we raise $500,000, it gets matched 6-to-1. You give $100, $600. Yes, that's how that works. So just donate. If you say, Larry, I want to donate, but I would like to have a cool shirt, or maybe I'd like to have a bumper sticker, or a cool hoodie like you have. Awesome. Head over to LarrySharpe.com/shop, donate, and you get a gift, a shirt or a hoodie or a bumper sticker. You go, Larry, that shirt, that's a little expensive. You're not buying a shirt. If you want to buy a cheap shirt, you can go to Amazon. Lots of cheap shirts there. Maybe you want one. I don't know if you like cheap shirts or not, but if you like cheap shirts, go to Amazon. There's tons of them there. Buy a cheap shirt. Good for you. Not mad at you. If you want to support the campaign and get a gift of a shirt, then go to LarrySharpe.com/shop. Do that. You can get a cool shirt or shirts and support the campaign. That's what it's there for. That's why it's there. If you just want to super chat, you want to yell at me, call me a name or something, or just say some cool stuff, you can. LarrySharpe.com/super chat. Type your super chat in there, pop it up, I will read it. See, 3 ways I am so generous that I provide you with 3 different ways of donating today. Look at that. All good. I hope that works. Thanks for that, Missy. I appreciate it. All right, let me keep going on here if I can. All righty. Let's see here. Let me grab some more of these. Josh says, private bank better than public bank. It depends on the situation. And again, I'll go back to the same idea, Josh. I want it to be open so that we can do either, right? I want to make sure we can use both. If the public banks fail, then you're right. Maybe they will. If they don't fail, then we're good. I'm okay with both. I want a mixed economy to the best of our ability. That's what I want. And I think, to your point, a lot of people think the way you think, Josh. Private's better. Private's better. And sometimes it may be. But we as leaders shouldn't be deciding that. The market should be deciding that, right? That's the key. The market should be deciding which ones work here. That's the issue. All right. All righty. I got to grab some more of these. You guys going back and forth here. I appreciate that. Roger says, the right of first refusal is on my CBI list. Yes, agreed. You do it that way, but I might do it before you have a chance. I could be faster than you. I could be faster than you. Yes. So, Liberty asks, as governor of New York, can you pardon the sentence of Dexter Taylor? If I become governor of New York, not only will I pardon Dexter Taylor, I will censor the judge who put him away. Both. I will pardon him and censor her. I will publicly shame her. Why would I do that? Why would you publicly shame that judge? The judge in Dexter Taylor's case said in her courtroom, the Second Amendment doesn't exist in my courtroom. That's what she said. And her punishment for that was nothing. My point, my earlier point, she is the perfect example of what I was talking about with judges. The perfect example. She said, in essence, her words were Second Amendment doesn't exist. But what she said in essence is, the Bill of Rights does not exist in my courtroom. How can a judge who, in theory, swears an allegiance to the Constitution say the Bill of Rights does not exist in her courtroom? Well, she did. Why would she say that? Because she's not beholden to the Constitution, as I've said. She's not beholden to the people, as I've said. For those of you who know Dexter Taylor was a Brooklyn engineer, black man, an engineer who had a daughter, and decided, you know what? I think I might want to become a gunsmith. What he thought. So he purchased legally parts of a gun to try to put them together to see how it works. Legally. Bought them like on Amazon, like legally through credit cards, all legal stuff. Put them together. Wasn't selling it. No ammunition. Wasn't selling. And somebody in his building snitched on him. To my point, Josh, people in New York snitch on people like that because they like that. Mr. Taz, my point, people in New York State do that. They didn't go, you know what? Let me leave this guy alone. He's not harming anybody. They went, oh my God, he's doing stuff. Call the cops. The cops kicked in his door. Not joking. If you want to, you can Google Larry Sharpe, Dexter Taylor. I did an interview. I covered the entire thing. Kicked in his door, put him in jail, put him away. He's doing 8 years. He has a teenage daughter. The state, yet again, took a black father away from the family of a teenage daughter and wrecked a family for a man who created no victim. He didn't sell. He didn't rob anybody. He didn't break any other law. This is because of Kathy Hochul's ghost gun stuff, which all of those are unconstitutional. But our judges not only don't stop the bullshit law, they enforce it and say the Constitution doesn't matter. Why do you think I hate our judges so much? The judge should have said, this law is all unconstitutional. Why are we even charging him? No, drop it. It's a dumb law. I'm not enforcing this law. But they don't. They'll tell you, oh, we're judges. We have to follow the law. No, you don't. The Constitution doesn't say the judicial branch will follow the law. It says the judicial branch will interpret the law. But you don't do that because you don't want the responsibility of it. So you don't do it. So you've abandoned your responsibility to be an activist judge for the Constitution. You won't do that. You'll be an activist judge for your political party. That you'll do all day, all night. But you won't do it for the Constitution, which you're supposed to do it on. You won't. Next thing judges will tell you this all the time. Have any of you ever interviewed a judge who's running for something? And you ask them, how would you rule on that? And they go, we can't tell you what we judge on, blah, blah, blah. Yes, they can. There's no law saying they can't. They made that shit up. They made that up. There's no law saying they can't. If there was a law, how come when the judges get picked or selected and have their hearings for the Supreme Court, they ask that question, don't they? How would you rule on this? How did you rule on that? What if you have to rule on this? How will you rule? They ask that question there, don't they? And somehow judges always answer or fight or lie. They do, but you can ask that question and they fight them on it. So the Supreme Court, they can do it, but locally they can't? Bullshit. They made that up. And we believe that. When I'm governor, I will say that. Any judge who won't answer that question, you should vote against. There's no law. They make up their own rules. Judges do it all the time. They decide, well, we have to be ethical and we're going to be ethical in our own world. And they make up stupid rules that protect themselves from everything. They make shit up. For those of you who were there, Shelly's just watching and Shelly was there. Judges make up rules in a courtroom. They made one up so I couldn't speak. They just make rules up all the time. And that rule about them not being able to talk about it, how they rule on something, they made up. There's no law that says that. They made that shit up. You should ask the judge, how would you rule Dexter Taylor? I can't say. Yes, you can. Say it. What would you do? Well, I keep them away. Good, I don't want you as my judge because you're a shitty judge. I'm not going to vote for you. You got me all going, Liberty. Sorry, I should have followed Liberty. Anyway, yes. Lunatic says, I prefer repealing laws. Agreed, Lunatic. I'm with you on that one. I'm not fighting you on that. I'm not fighting you on that. Yes. So, alrighty. Andrew says, the only law you can't repeal in New York State is natural law. The powers that can affirm it ultimately disregard it, but never repeal it. I don't know, Andrew. I think in theory that's true. But in practice, New York State does whatever it wants. Just whatever. It doesn't care. Doesn't care what kind of rules. It doesn't matter. It just does what it wants. Judges don't stop it. So, yeah, doesn't stop it. Kim says, Mamdani should put his money where his mouth is and not take money from Albany. Oh, no. His money where his mouth is taking money from Albany, taking money from the federal government, taking money from you, money from me. That's literally what he says. Take from every place. Just take all the money. All the money. So, no, look, whether you agree with Mamdani or not, he's not hiding anything. He's like, no. I'm taking the money, all of it. Taking it all. Yes, absolutely. So anyway, Kim says, do we have to do deep diving training to get on SEAL Team Sharpe? Yes, I will help you through. Don't worry. I got you. I will help you through. Yes. All righty. Lunatic says, Wisconsin Supreme Court set precedent on medical lockdowns, 2 weeks only. You know, I would take that. I hate even that. But I would take, because that means, right, that what I like about that is that means at least the Supreme Court understands they don't work. Now, in reality, you and I both know lockdowns are unconstitutional, period. There should be no lockdowns. But at least someone goes, dude, this is destroying stuff. We can't destroy stuff. So, yeah. That's something. That's not enough for me, but that's something. At least we're moving in that direction, right? So there we go. We got something to do. I like that. Otis says, come to Schenectady. I just did. Oh my God, you guys. Was I just there? Hold on. I was just in Schenectady. Hold on. Now you got me. When am I going to go back again? You guys aren't paying attention to my schedule because I was just in Schenectady. Hold on. I don't know when I'm going back there. I'm probably not going back to Schenectady I think until February. I think. I'm going to be in the area, though, soon. I'll be in the area. But I don't think I'll go back to Schenectady until, yeah. I'm going to be in Fulton County, which is close, coming up here the 17th. So if you can make that, that list is already out. So if you can check any of my social media, you will see I'll be in Fulton County the 17th. That's kind of close. That's probably close. It would be in the near. See, when's the last time I was in Schenectady? I was there. Now I can't even find when it was. It was relatively recently. And now I can't find it. Anyway, I was there recently. I was. Maybe 2-3 weeks ago in that area. I was there. So now you got to wait probably till February. So anyway, let me keep going here. All righty. Some more of these here. Liberty says, word in the street, Larry Show will be on Heartland Media tomorrow at 10 a.m. with Kit Cabello. True. I will be on with Kit. Yes, absolutely. I will be there. 100%. Yes. Okay. Flyers ask if I will pardon Dexter Taylor. Yes, mentioned that already. Yep. Absolutely. Andrew says, can't blame you. Everyone in town is sick. My daughter got sick. My friends got sick. And I'm out shaking hands because of baby. So I'm going to get sick. So yes, it's going to happen. Sadly, it's going to happen. So, all right. Lunatic says eggs bad. I remember that, Lunatic. They were like, my daughter was taught in school, one egg is the same as smoking 5 cigarettes. I'm not joking. She came home and told me that. One egg is about that, and we care about, and that's what we're going to let our government decide that when they say some stupid shit like that. Eating one egg is the same as smoking 5 cigarettes. Completely, totally garbage. utterly not true at all. And we're going to say that. Come on now. Come on now. All right. I'm going to grab this here. So many of these. All right. Brona says, hi, everyone. I'm assuming because it's a Policy-thon, there will not be a regular Sharpe show this evening. That's correct. This is the Sharpe show equivalent this evening. So, yeah, that's the equivalent. Yes, 100%. Lunatic goes on to say, eggs were bad because of cholesterol. But cholesterol is healthy for the brain. Funny how dementia and Alzheimer's went up after the public health campaign. I know. Yes, Lunatic, exactly right. Look, perhaps eggs are bad for you. And if they are, I'm in trouble. Because I eat at least 3 eggs a day, if not 4 or 5. At least 3 a day, every day. And have been for years, over a decade. More. I've been on keto for 15. I've been on keto for 15 years. And almost every morning, I have at least 3 eggs, if not 4. And sometimes during the day, I have another egg or 2, depending on what I'm put in something I'm going to have, whatever I could. So I eat minimum 3 eggs a day, often 4 or 5 a day. And I've been doing it for almost 15 years now. So I guess I'll be dead soon. It's a lot of cigarettes. That's all I'm saying. I guess I'll be dead soon. A lot of cigarettes. So yeah. Shelley goes on to say, like when big tobacco paid billions to the federal government and states set up smokers' hotlines instead of demanding that they remove the chemicals from cigarettes. Yes. Why would I believe them? You own your own life. You own your own health. That's the issue. Yes. Flannery says, how did Carpetbagger Hillary get to be senator? Senator is different. Senator is federal rules, not state rules. Federal rules, you don't even have to live in the state, I don't think, until, if I remember right, federal rules, you don't even have to live in the state or district until, excuse me, inauguration. I think that's right. If I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, you can run for Congress, not live in a district, and move in the district after you win, as long as it's by the time you get inaugurated. You have to live there. Yeah, federal law is different. That's a federal. Senator is federal, but the state rules are much more stringent. Some states don't have harsh residency rules at all. Some like 7 years, 6 years. They change. So yeah. All right, you guys going back and forth again. Ken says 8 years for picking up a hobby and becoming an amateur gunsmith. True. That's New York State. You hit it perfect, Ken. You hit it perfectly. Yes, that's the answer. Loon, just get me a Larry Sharpe hoodie. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Missy says, I had my parents who struggled with statins. It made my mom hurt all over. So I keep saying no to my doctor. Yep, I see that. Yes. Bruna says, Larry, I was libertarian since childhood, before I even knew what libertarianism is. So I do get your plans and goals. I just don't believe anyone will ever fix the government. I'm not sure I will either. To be forward, Ronna, I'm not sure I will either. I'll give you a story I've told many times. You might not have heard the story. I don't know how long you've been listening. You might not have heard the story. When I was in the Marine Corps, some of my time in the Marine Corps was as intelligence. And we were talking during one of my schools about interrogation. And they told us a story about an Army officer who was captured during the Korean War and interrogated by Chinese interrogators in the 50s. Now, we heard this story in the 80s and 90s, and he told this story like in the 70s, but he was caught in the 50s. And he remembers that when a Chinese interrogator came to him, he was trying to show him how awesome, communism was, right? It was Chinese in the 50s. Communism was great, blah, blah. So he tells the communist interrogator, look, you're never going to convince me communism is great. Now, this officer happened to be an East Coaster, a West Pointer, it's not what you think of. Wealthy family, all the stuff you can imagine of a high-end West Point Army officer. The image you could create, that's who this guy was. And he tells the guy, look, when this war's over, I'm going home to my beautiful wife, to my wealthy family, my big house. Yeah, what are you doing? And the interrogator said to him, oh, no. I understand that. He goes, I'm never going to convince you that communism is great. All I have to do is get you to think that your way isn't perfect and you'll leave Korea. So I cared about. So I wanted. I think similarly. I don't need to turn everyone into a libertarian, but I need to get the vast amount of Americans to believe, to imagine that maybe government isn't the only answer. And for at least 80% of Americans, if not 90% of Americans, government's the only answer. They cannot imagine it not being. An example I'll give you is when Javier Milei was getting rid of departments in Argentina. The amount of people, these are people who are educated, people who are, credentialed, people who are known, who said, he's getting rid of Department of Transportation. Does he not want transportation? They cannot imagine that transportation can exist without government. Now, logically, Bronner, and I both know, that's insanely dumb. Logically, we know that the trucks don't disappear if you get rid of some imaginary department. We know this to be true, logically. But emotionally, they cannot fathom it. It is like you just said, and we're going to jump to the moon. Same thing in their heads. When Trump was talking about getting rid of the Department of Education, does he not want to educate our kids? They can't imagine. It is impossible for them to fathom in their brains that you can have something without government. Government is the answer. I remember this. This was years ago. I had someone who was trying to convince me that the best answer for the libertarians is to talk about schools, and that's how we'll always win. Go to Americans and say, who better to teach your kids than government, right? Of course, it's you, right? Of course. And I said, you don't know New Yorkers. I've asked that question. They look at me like I'm crazy. If not government, then who? It's government's job to educate my kids. What are you talking about? They can't imagine homeschooling. Homeschooling for at least half of New Yorkers, at least if not more, is for crazy people. Because how could you do that? You're not credentialed. You can't do that. That's impossible. That is their mindset. And I know for someone like you, who again, libertarian since childhood, you have a bias yourself. And that bias is you can't understand how they can be that way. I can. I see them and talk to them almost every day. I meet them on the streets. I live in New York City all the time. They cannot imagine something being done and government's not involved or actively doing it. They can't fathom it. So my policies just make them think, oh, there's another way. We don't have to have government. No, we don't have to. To Rod's point, you could have a co-op without government involved. What? Yeah, you could. You have local community do something. Wait a minute. Yes, you can. That could work. Wait a minute. So I could just have a local person take my money and do stuff? Yes, you could do that. And they can fix a pothole. That you could have that. You could fix a pothole without government. You could do that. This blows their minds. And I know I sound flippant. I'm not being flippant. If you hear me talk, I talk about it like normally because I understand they cannot fathom it. The idea of selling a bridge, privatizing a bridge, is just, what are you talking about? What are you talking? They can't imagine this, Bronner. What are you talking about? You can't sell a bridge to somebody. You can't. Is it what? Okay. How about if we lease naming rights out? Oh, like the stadium. Like the stadium. We could raise money without taxes. Wait a minute. You could fix the bridge without taxes? You can. You could do that. Now, I know I'm kind of joking, but I hope you understand where I'm going. If more people think that, wait a minute. So there are, but you can't do that with this, can you? Now you're having a conversation. And before you know it, you don't have to fix government because community does it already. My goal in the future is always the same. Government either gets better, and maybe it will, maybe, or it goes away. But either way, people are still being served. Things are still being fixed. People are still being held up when they fall down. That's the key. So I know you don't agree but I hope you at least understand what I'm trying to achieve. I think that piece to me becomes critical. So, all right. Kim says, I didn't see a full Sharpe schedule for this week. It starts the 17th. If you look on YouTube or on Facebook, on Twitter, so at X, you will see a, do I have it here? Hold on. Do I have it here? You will see a poster. You will see a poster that shows where I will be next week. Not as in this weekend, because I'm here this weekend, but next week. Let me see if I can get that here. All righty, let me show this right now so you can see it. You should see this on most of my social medias. There we go. Friday, October 17th, Saturday, October 18th, Sunday, October 19th. So 12:30 next Friday. I was at yesterday. Next Friday, I'll be at Veterans Holding. It's a hemp joint. I'll be there touring that place. Then 5 p.m. Indian Lake Tavern in Hamilton County, by the way, the smallest county by population in New York State. Saturday, be at the Black Bear Restaurant. This is all North Country. Then Premier Vapors, and then Moe's Restaurant. So Pottersville, Plattsburgh, Messina. So maybe I've been in Plattsburgh. Maybe I get to see not Shelly. Maybe I get to see Patty. We'll see. And then Sunday, chicken barbecue at the American Legion. Come on by. That's in Madison County. Come on by. Oneida, come on by. Say hi. Have some chicken. Just chat me for a while. I'll be there for a couple hours. Eating chicken. Not bad. Let's go do it. So that's my schedule for next week. So now you've seen it at least. So yes. Vladimir says, my wife wants to send you a check this morning. Please do so. Head over to LarrySharpe.com/donate. The address is right there. Please don't send me more than $9,000, Rich. I know she loves me and she wants to send me all of her money. Tell her, don't do that. Don't do that. Here's what I'd like you to do, though. If you or her have any family or friends in New York State, tell them to send me some money too, because that money is multiplied by 6. Yours is multiplied by 2, which is great. You send me $100, you get 200, 250, 500. But if the person lives in New York State, times 6. So all good. I appreciate it. Thank you. Yes. So all righty. All righty. I went through that piece. All right. We all went through that. Lila says, eggs are great, very versatile in recipes. True. I love that. Yes. All righty. Let me move on to another piece which I had not really brought up, which is safety. I talked about affordability. I talked about opportunity. I talked about liberty. I talked about safety. One of the biggest issues we have in New York State is the bail reform. Bail reform, in theory, is very important. I do not want poor people being punished because they're poor. Of course not. Absolutely. The bail reform that we put out was terrible. It was enforced terrible. The law was terrible. And I really had hoped that judges would do the right thing. I had hoped. I did. But yet again, as always, they always disappoint. And I go, Larry, what can they do? All right. There's a guy who's in front of you. You're a judge. There's a guy in front of you. And he has been arrested 8 times. In fact, his last arrest was because he did not show up to a court appearance. And you go, well, my hands are tied because of the law, and you let him out. And then that guy stabs somebody. And the judge pays no price for that. Well, Larry, you can't have just paying a price for everything. True. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But why did that judge let him out? And the answer I would get is, it's the law. He has to follow the law. No, he doesn't. The name of his job is not enforcer. The name of his job is judge. He's supposed to judge. His job is not to follow the law, which they've made up for years, and we as idiots believe them. His job is to interpret the law based upon the Constitution. His job is to do the right thing based upon the Constitution. So when the brain-dead chimps in our assembly create shitty laws, which they do every single year, the judge supposed to go, this is garbage. No. What a judge is supposed to do is go, the law says I need to let you out. but you are a violent offender, multiple offender, convicted more than once, and arrested again, and didn't show up to the last one. So no, you're staying in jail. Done. That's what should happen. You're staying in jail. Well, he might get in trouble. By who? I've already told you, they're accountable to no one. By who? I'm telling you by who. By the political parties. That's by who. And political parties, they're the ones who make the laws. How dare you go against our laws? We'll make sure you can't get elected next time. We won't let you raise any money. We'll run somebody against you. We'll primary you. We'll make sure that next time there's a selection, you don't get selected anymore. That's how it actually works. And that's why people get out and murder people on subways. Because of politics, because of political parties. Yeah, I said it. What, did you get mad at me? Have anybody, I dare anyone to say I'm wrong. Take me to court. It's totally true. Why else would you do it? Think of yourself. You are a human being sitting in that courtroom. And the guy who shows up in front of you, who the cops just arrested again for the 9th time, the average person in New York City who's committing crimes again and again and again, Eric Adams said this, his words, not mine, has been arrested the average 15 times. I'm not making that up. He said it. 15 times is the average. Average. That one dude who killed that woman, I've got the guy's name. He was arrested 86 times. 86. You're a judge. Guy's in front of you. If he's the average guy, 15 times arrested, convicted at least twice, and bail reform says, let him out. Why would you let him out? Why would you let him out? He's shown that he is violent again and again and again. He's proven that he is violent. Why would you let him out? Because I have to follow the law. This is our biggest problem. I get mad at this all the time, and I keep talking about it. So how do I solve that problem? Very simple. I'm not going to change that law. Not going to happen because the party's too powerful for me to do that. No worries. We're going to line item that damn thing. It's very simple. Bail reform is for first-time offenders. Done. Problem solved. Every single one of those horrible crimes you've seen on the subway, in the street, 100% of those is by multiple offenders. 100%. None of them are first-time offenders. None. None, not one. Okay, you're a first-time offender. You screwed up, Kim. You screwed up. First-time offender. Here's your chance. You got shot. You screwed up one time, you got a shot. You get bail reform. You get the reform, 100%. Because you're poor, why am I going to hammer you? You made a mistake. Here's your shot to fix your life right now. Here's your time. Head back. Keep your job. Keep your family. You got one shot. No wrong with that. That's fair. That's fair. You been arrested 6 times? What are we doing? What are we doing? Now, some libertarians are more like, well, maybe one conviction. Fine. I would even go there. I'd go if you make. I'd go there too. Conviction. Fine. Whatever. All of these guys, 100%, have been convicted at least once before. Some 3-4 times. All of them, 100%, and they've all been arrested multiple times. Some as high as 86 times. I'm not making that number up. I'm not making that number up. You can go check it out. You think I'm making it up? That's true. That fixes it. That fixes it. I don't want to just end bail reform because the concept of it is good. The implementation was garbage. It's repairable. That's the fix. That's the fix. You still get some bail reform. You don't punish poor people, which I don't want to punish poor people. But you don't let multiple offender guys get out and start killing people. You can stop that too. You can do both. Next, people with safety. What we have done poorly in New York State is our prison system. I mean, just our prison system is embarrassment. And it's for several reasons. One of them is we treat our corrections officers like garbage. And that reflects on how they act and what they do also. For years, we ignored their unions. For years, they didn't have a contract. And then when they did, there was a punishment level in there that was just insane. And worse, the worst part of, I mean, that's all terrible, but I guess the overall part, which covers everything, is the lack of respect we have for corrections officers. What I would say in prison is, in prison right now, we know, this is what I know. We all know this to be true. In prison, there are people who are terrible people and should probably never come out of prison ever. And there are people who made a mistake, should do their time and get back out and have a second chance at life for the mistake they made, get a second chance at life. And there are people who should never be in prison at all in the first place. All three exist. Here's my problem. How do we know which one's a which? Well, I don't know. Who has the best chance of knowing? The corrections officers who work with them every day. They got the best shot. Now, they're going to be wrong, too. They're not perfect. Corrections officers aren't gods. They're regular people like everybody else. They can make some mistakes. Of course they will. They're humans. But they got the best shot of knowing which ones are which. Why aren't we using them? We don't. New York State hires outsiders, pays them tons of money, cronies, bullshit like we always do, have them come in, do something. It fails. Corrections officers pay the price. They leave. Thanks for the money. That's our way of doing things in New York State. That's our way. We just do that. They keep failing. Corrections officers keep getting punished. You know who else gets punished? The families of those people who are in there. When I visit prisons, I usually visit two places. I'm sorry. I visit the people coming on and off the shift. The shift changes are usually around 3 p.m. in that area, depending on where you are. So I'll be up there, and I'll see guys coming back and forth, shake hands, talk to the corrections officers coming in, coming out, and I'll go to wherever the holding area is for the families of people who are visiting the prisoners. So I'll go to both. And those are two people who matter the most. What about the prisoners? They matter too. They do. I'm not dissing the prisoners. They matter also. But their families are more important. Why? What I want is when prisoners get out, the best chance to never go back. And the best chance to never go back is if you have a support structure, which is almost always family. How do I know that? My mom was a felon. So those who don't know, my mom was an addict and a felon, and she needed a support structure. That support structure was me. My mom never went back. She was clean her entire life. Afterwards, obviously. She was clean the rest of her life until she passed. She was. Of course. Well, that matters. So we should be supporting two people. The corrections officers make sure the right people get out and the wrong people stay in, and don't harm the other people. Because this is the other part. A lot of people who shouldn't have been in, they weren't violent. They are now. They are now. We've surrounded them with literally the largest chunk of sociopaths and schizophrenics that we could possibly have in the entire world. I'm not joking. I'm not insulting prisoners. I'm insulting our system. The largest mental health institution in New York State is our prison system. I'm not making that up. That's what it is. Depending on who you talk to, there's somewhere between 20 and 25% of the prison population is sociopathic. Yes. A huge chunk, who knows how much, are schizophrenic. And what are they doing? Sitting in prison with people who, like, I don't know, try to become a gunsmith. I got to survive. I might become violent too. We have to fix this. And we don't. So, work with corrections officers to create community-based programs to get these guys out of prison and back into society with the highest chance of them never coming back. What does that mean? Support structure, chosen, the people chosen, not by some stupid parole board who gets it wrong all the time, but by a bunch of corrections officers who know better. Let's use them. They're here. They're here. And by the way, just to be clear, has that worked in the past? Yes. There's a plan. There's a current system in Massachusetts called the Humvee program. It's community-based on veterans. The recidivism rate at the time I checked, which is probably about 6 years ago, that's when I checked on this. The recidivism rate in Massachusetts for that facility was like 75%, something high, crazy like that. Those who went to the Humvee program, under 5%. Massive change. Massive change. Yes. So anyway, okay, we worked on that rule. All righty. Joel says, New York AG has to live in New York for a primary residence. Yes. Yeah. New York State has heavy resident rules, but the federal government does not. Federal government, the residency rules are very weak. So yes. All right. All righty. Bronner says, Mr. Taz is wrong. Corporations, not cooperations, doesn't exist without government. And true libertarianism, not the LP, is all cooperation and zero corporations. That's true. Yes. In the perfect world, right? The perfect libertarian world, there's no government, therefore there's no corporations. That's true. It's all only cooperations, only in everything that is some form of cooperation, whether that is through a mutual agreement that you will give me labor and I will give you money, right? That's one form of cooperation. Or you will have ownership and so will I. I agree. And that's my point earlier. I don't want a cooperation economy. I want a mixed economy to where people can make the agreements they want to make. So do I want ownership of the company? Do I want to own the means of production? Do I just want to get a check and do my work and go home? And then as an owner, which would I prefer? Right? And not just that, will the market be served better by co-ops in certain fields versus other fields? Right? I could imagine, and again, I don't know this. This is my feeling, and we'll see if it comes up. That many service industries would be much better if they were co-ops. That's my feeling. I don't know this for sure, but I feel like it would, because now each person who's giving service has ownership in the service versus I'm just paid to do this and whatever, right? I feel like service industry would be better, but I don't know if that's true. But again, the market should decide. The market will figure out what works best. And if I'm right and that's true, you will find many service industries becoming co-ops. And I'm fine with that. All good. We'll get better service, better price. People are happier. Life is good. All good. Yes. So, all righty. I that's where my head is. So, there we go. Sam says, growing up in the 80s, people didn't depend on federal government for food and healthcare. Now people are having existential crisis, fearing a one-week shutdown. Ironically, we're better off the longer it's closed. It's funny, right? Once you get accustomed to the government doing something, it just becomes the norm, Sam. I mean, what most people don't know, and I say this because I want people to understand this. You get this, I know. You were in education in the past. I know you were. That was your past. I've met Sam before a couple of times upstate New York. So yeah, he comes to my events. Thank you, Sam, for showing up. Anyway, every president we've ever had has been educated when there was no DOE. Department of Education did not exist when they went to school. Everyone. That blows people's mind. Really? Yes. The DOE did not exist when all of our presidents, every one of them, did not exist when they were all educated. So somehow we educated our presidents. We educated most of our senators, not all of them, most of our senators, when there was no DOE. Most of our governors, no DOE. Somehow they learned to read and write and survive. Somehow we went to the moon without DOE. Or did we? Anyway, somehow we went to the moon without DOE. Somehow we built the nuclear bomb without DOE. Somehow we did that. Crazy. Somehow we invented the internet without DOE. Oh my God. How's that possible? The Department of Education came into play around 1980. I think it was signed in 1979, I think. But it came into play around 1980. It began to have teeth in the mid-80s. That's when I actually began to actually do things, right? Around the mid-80s. Would you say that our education has gotten better or worse since the mid-80s? I think it's obvious. So, yeah, it's funny. But now, can't live without it. Oh, can't live without it. The worst part is about 1/3 of all of every state's budget comes in the federal government now. That's how much money we just spend for worse outcomes. We spend and spend for worse outcomes. All righty, grab some more of this if I can. Lita says, having love of our nation has great meaning. It's challenging. It's challenging when so many young people don't see the hope that Lila, you and I saw, right? They don't they don't see the hope. They see the system as failing them. They see the system as lying to them. If you look at most people who are Gen Z, some millennials, all Gen Alpha will be this way. They were told a lie. They're still being told a lie. They've been told a lie. Go to college, take the tests, and everything will be great for you. Do the right thing, blah, blah, blah. Everything's going to be awesome. It's all a lie. It's been a lie for years. I didn't tell my kids that garbage. I never told them that garbage. But people still believe it all the time. You still hear it. Got to go to college. Why? Got to pass the test. Why? Got to get a high SAT. Why? Do you have a plan to where that will matter? Like, are you planning to be an engineer? Okay, makes sense. Are you planning to be a doctor? Okay. Planning to be a lawyer? Okay. Okay. No, we just have to have a well-rounded education. Bullshit. Utter garbage. Means nothing. Going to college is useless. Unless you have a plan. Not just that. You're a 30-year-old male now. The odds of you having a good relationship and a home, slim to none. 40 years ago, chances you were probably married with a kid with a house. So your parents told you to do it, and you'll get that. Kids today, generally speaking, will not be as well off as their parents. And they know it, and they see it. They feel like they've been lied to. The system doesn't work for them. Every time they try to fix them, they can't. Two-party system makes them shut up. They're unhappy. So many women now are on psychotropic drugs, somehow giving themselves some kind of Valium or whatever case may be, antidepressants all over the place. Men are checking out. Women are on drugs and men are checking out. Why would you love the nation? I don't mean to be flippant, Leela. I don't. I'm just saying, why would you? That's our problem. We have to fix this stuff. We have to give people hope again. To give them actual hope, show them it can work, then they'll care. Then they'll want to be in. Otherwise, why would they? So, yeah. Anyway, all right, let me grab some more if I can. Michael says, serious question. I'm not being smug. It would be great for you to know. Oh, hold on. You asked about Sliwa. No, it doesn't matter. First off, it doesn't matter if I endorse him. It's irrelevant. I don't mean to be fleeting. I know Sliwa. I like him. I go to his events. I like him, but my endorsement is irrelevant. If Larry Sharpe endorses Sliwa, oh my God, he's going to win now. No, it means nothing. I don't mean to be mean. It means nothing. I'd rather stay out of the race. I endorsed Jim Walden, who backed out. I endorsed Jim Walden, who was independent running, but he dropped. But no, it doesn't. I know it's a virtue signal. It doesn't matter to me. And Sliwa doesn't care either. Sliwa endorsed me when I ran. So maybe if he endorses me, maybe I can counter endorse. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, it's a virtue signal. It means nothing. I like Sliwa. I know him personally. I'm going to an event with him in a couple of weeks again. I'm going to see him again. I support him. I do. I have more than once. But look, I'm just being real. New York City 6-1 Democrat Republican. 6-1. I don't run in New York City. I run in New York State, where it's only 3-1. 3-1, we got shot. 6-1, you got a shot. I don't mean to be mean. So, anyway, okay. All righty. Where am I here? She did cover that piece. I get it. All righty. Samuel says, I remember when Domino's was fixing bottles. That's right. Yes, Domino's was 100%. Yes, Domino's was absolutely doing it. Yes. And then they got stopped because that's bad. Yes, 100%. Let's see here. Andrew says, not going to lie, I thought leasing naming rights to infrastructure was crazy. But then I figured we do the same thing for arenas and buildings. Yep. GE building at 30 Rock turned Comcast Center. Yes, it's a common thing. We do it in a private sector all day long. Why can't we do it for this? Yes, of course we could. 100%. Shelley says, seated grand juries used to have the power to make laws moot. Yes, the problem is in New York State, judges literally tell the juries they may not do that. That's our judges. In New York State, I'm not making this up. I've been on 2 juries. Judges literally tell the jurors, if you don't believe in the law, you must still vote guilty anyway. They tell them that. And if you can't do that, you should admit a jury. They tell them that. Judges tell juries that jury nullification is against the law. Utterly unconstitutional, utterly wrong. All judges say it. Yes, being a jury in New York State, I've been on 2 of them. They literally tell you that. Yes, that's their words. They tell you that. It's embarrassing. That's New York State. Again, I keep saying our judges have completely failed us. Yes. All right. Joel says Messina is the big county, St. Lawrence County. Oh, is the big? Yes. St. Lawrence is the largest county in New York State by area. Brooklyn by population. Brooklyn population, I think, is 2.3, 2.4 million, something like that. It's the highest in population. But the biggest in size is St. Lawrence County, which is right on the border of Canada. For those of you who don't know, New York State. The smallest county by size actually is Manhattan, New York County. That's the smallest by size. By population is Hamilton. It's only about 5,000 people, give or take. Yeah. So, all righty. I'm going to grab some of this if I can. All righty. Just going back on the chat. I appreciate that. All righty. I think I gave you thoughts on Sliwa. I think I did. Yeah. Mike Wassenhaus. Dictator Taylor is a good example of a judge failing, making up laws and denying rights. Yes, yes, and yes. Mrs. says, can you discuss your policy of infrastructure, the naming rights? Yes, absolutely. There's several things for infrastructure. The naming rights piece was one of them, obviously, as I mentioned, right? We can do that. It's a wonderful idea in general. What I mean by that, you can lease naming rights out to any piece of infrastructure if you want to, in theory. The amount of money depends on, of course, what they get. In the case of a large bridge that is crossed by 1 million cars every single day, off the bat, you see your name. Awesome. Not just that, it's mentioned on traffic reports hundreds of times every day across the city. Not just that, it's on Google Maps, right, or whatever other Waze or whatever. It's listed on all these apps. By the way, that's also there. And on top of that, anyone who makes a movie or a TV show that has a skyline, you get product placement in movies and media. That happens like all the time. So that's why the number I picked was $100 million. And again, when I did this back in 2018, literally bankers came to me, looked for me and said, Larry, how does this thing work? And I expressed 12-year lease, front loaded, 50% up front, and the rest of it 12 years. So as long as, if they screw up and they lose the piece, we got half up front. So as long as you do it for at least 6 years, we're good, right? But they also pay all the way, but half up front and the rest is over the course of the next 11 years. And that's how you do it. You front load it to make sure you get cash, because we still inspect it. So if it's not safe and they don't fix it, right, then we can take it away from them and give it to somebody else. We already got half the money up front. They lose money. So they're going to want to repair it, want to fix it. Otherwise, they lose cash. So again, corporations aren't good or evil. They're apathetic. They don't care. They will do what makes sense. So if you give them good incentives, they'll do good things. It's bad to them to do bad things. So that's how we're getting to do that for infrastructure. And the other good part about it is once that happens, well, they're taking care of maintenance and we're getting cash. Well, then why do we need tolls? No tolls. For certain bridges here in New York City, the toll is like $15 one way, $18 one way. Think about that. Gone. No tolls. Isn't that amazing? Easy for everybody. Helps the regular person out. Of course it does. So that helps out and puts money towards the MTA. So the MTA, which is utterly broken, can at least get some cash without having to, have to raise funds like that. But I'll go further. How do we fix the infrastructure of the subway system? Now, here's another crazy part, and you might like this brought up. Most people say, well, we have to have the government build it. No, the government didn't build the subway system. People go, what? It didn't. Most people don't know that. They assume the government's always owned the subway system and the government built it. It didn't. Private companies built the subway system. Yes. In fact, in Japan, which everyone says is such a great system, private companies. Yes, it's not run by the government. People can't imagine though. See, brought up, people can't imagine what I'm saying. In their minds, no way. Yeah. The government took over the subway system when the subways decided they wanted to raise pricing. They want to go from a nickel, I think, to a dime or something like that. I forgot what it was. It was something like that. The government said, oh, stop that. We can now seize it and take it. And they did. They basically just took it over. Government does that kind of thing, right? It just does it. And it's gotten crappier since then. So how can we fix this? By putting private sector back in? Yes. But can we just privatize it? No. There is no way New York would accept privatizing the subway. They would not. Those days they're not there. He said, we can do that. We want to bring in at nighttime in New York City, the MTA should bring in freight into the city at night. Freight, yes. Freight trains into New York City through the subway lines. Why not? Build some hubs outside the city. Have them come in. Hubs in Brooklyn, hubs in Queens, hubs in Manhattan. They have hubs now. Make them subway hubs instead. Huh. Well, Larry, that's tough because if we do that, then we have to keep track of all those trains. So we've got to have Wi-Fi. Yes. Yes. They'll Wi-Fi the entire system. Yes. Well, not just that. The freight trains aren't the same as passenger trains. True. You have to rebuild the entire system. Yes. Yes. They have to rebuild the entire system. Yes. And Wi-Fi. Yes. And make it safe. Why? Anybody taking their packages? There have to be Wi-Fi, cameras, the whole deal. It'll be safe. Private security. Of course. Yes. Well, Larry, that'll cost, $5 billion. So Amazon spends $10 billion just on marketing every year. Just Amazon. So we'll have Amazon do it because and UPS will do a piece, and FedEx do a piece. They'll knock it out in a year. Larry, that stuff takes 20 years because government built it. When government builds it, it takes 20 years. When private sector builds it, 2 years. Max, maybe a year. Yeah, so we'll have a brand new MTA 2 years. And how do I know that? Well, it crosses multiple counties, so the governor will be in control. And when the idiots come by and go, you can't do that because X, the governor goes, shut up, your pardon, go. Done. And you build it. That's it. So when Amazon and FedEx and UPS and whoever gets together and say, here's our plan to rebuild the system. Awesome. I love it. You can do it? Yeah. What pieces of paper do you need? Well, we need all these bureaucratic documents. I will take them all, sign all of them, and give it to them. And they go, you didn't go through any procedure. I don't care. I guess they'll put me in jail. Stop building. Done. And then people get mad and they'll sue me. You didn't do maybe there's a specialized rat that might die in Brooklyn. But then I guess the rat's dying. Go get the rat yourself. The rat's dying. Whatever. We're doing it. We're building it. Done. 2 years built. We will have a brand new system, completely built. We will still own it, but it'll be brand new, Wi-Fi, safe, money coming in from the bridges within a couple of years too. So we have a cheap, effective, clean, new system in the MTA in New York State without one extra taxpayer dollar. One more time, without one extra taxpayer dollar. Not one. Now, why won't they do that? That sounds amazing. Why won't they do that? Here's the reason why. Just so in case you wonder why. With my plan I put together, I don't hand out jobs. That's the problem. What? That's the problem. With what I just told you now, I don't hand out jobs. The goal of good governors and good mayors is they hand out jobs. That's how they keep people getting paid. That's how they keep people owing them. That's how they get people to give them money. That's the one-hand war. That's how cronyism. They hand the jobs out. So if I hand the job out to my buddy, my friend, and things go wrong, and they go, well, I was gonna, but then this one thing happened, so we stopped work, so we got to wait 6 months, blah, blah, blah. Well, I know I told you it's going to cost $1 billion. Now it's going to cost you $2 billion because of this delay. What happens? You give them more money. You just give them more money, of course. That's why it's never on budget and always over time. But if Amazon does it, Amazon picks the vendors to do it. You say, I'm not going to work for 6 months. Amazon sues you into oblivion. No construction company accepts that. So they do it. That's how you fix it. But they won't do that because they're not. Remember, government isn't concerned about an outcome. Government's concerned about staying in power. Outcome doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Missy asked about the carrying caboose. All right. As part of that, we add the carrying caboose policy. What's the carrying caboose? When people are having trouble, whether that is a psychological break, whether that's an addiction episode, whatever the case may be, and they're stressed, they very often go to where other people are. It's one of the reasons why they often go to places like the bus terminal or subways. It's a common thing. The problem is right now, when they come to the subways, we only have really two options. Option one, leave them alone and let them harm others. Or arrest him, put him in jail. I don't like either of those. I don't like either. I would like another option for law enforcement. I'd like another option for other people. I'd like another option. And what's that option? That option is carrying the caboose. What does that mean? Every other train, the last car is the carrying caboose. That's a place where people who are having an episode, whether that is an addiction episode or whether that's a mental illness episode, can go. They go there. It is sponsored by whatever company is in trouble socially and wants to do the right thing and brand themselves effectively by helping people, right? They don't care, but we do. They'll be in the back. Private security, not cops, because people who are in that situation are very scared of cops. Cops can shove them in, instead of taking them to jail, give them the carrying caboose. It's all Wi-Fi. They sit the person down, and the person goes, "Oh my God, who are you? You're Johnny. Oh, Johnny, hold on. Dude, you haven't been in your meds. Let me help you out, blah, blah, blah." All sponsored by another company, no government taxpayer dollars. Get them into the spot they need. You might go, "Larry, shouldn't we get them into the facilities?" Yes, we should. True. But if you are a homeless family, as an example, or a homeless individual who's had problems, financial, and only financial, you can get around the systems that are required to get you into a shelter or something. You can do it. You know how to do it. You can figure it out. But what happens if you're an addict? You can't go there. They have curfews and such. You don't understand that stuff. You're getting high. What if you're mentally ill? You can't handle that stuff. You're schizophrenic. You're seeing other people around telling you that kind of stuff. You can't do that. You can't. I'm not making it up. You can't. People in carrying caboose go, "I got you. Let me fill it out for you. Take care of stuff, blah, blah." But not just that. If you've had an addict in your life, I know I've had one in my life, addicts just go away. They just leave. And if you had an addict in your life, you know what I'm talking about. You don't see him. Like, where'd he go? Where is he? He's gone for 2 days, 3 days, for a week, 2 weeks, whatever. He's gone. Comes back later. Where were you? I don't know. He just goes away. Happens all the time. Well, would it be nice if there was a chance you could find that person? So now Johnny's in trouble. He stumbles his way into the subway. Maybe he's schizophrenic. Maybe he's jonesing. Whatever. Maybe he's high. Whatever. Cops see him. They can arrest him. Option one. Back in the system. You leave him alone. He harms somebody maybe. Or harms himself, which is he's more common to harm himself than someone else. Or you can direct him to the carrying caboose where he will feel safe because there are people who know him because he's in the system. And they go, "Oh, Johnny, hey, have you talked to your sister recently? You haven't?" They can text the sister. "Johnny's on the L train. He'll be in Brooklyn in 10 minutes. And maybe Jenny can go pick up her brother. Be nice to know, even if she doesn't, nice to know he's still alive and he's here. At least she'll know now. Brother's not dead. It's on the L train." Carrying caboose is one of the best policies we have to take care of people. Is it perfect? No. No. Is it better than letting people get set on fire or throwing everybody who's in trouble in jail? Yes. Yes, it is. It's better than all those. It is. And if you get a better policy, I'm all ears. And it isn't the only policy. We've got to also change how we do a lot of things. But that's one piece to it. If you add all those together, you have a better, safer, cheaper MTA for New York City, which means more people using it, less people on the streets, running around up top, less cabs required. And here's the best part. If you're bringing in freight at night into the train, into the city, well, guess what? Less trucks on the street, less wear and tear on my roads, less pollution in my city. Look at that. And the tolls are free. This is win, win, win. I hope that made sense. So yes. All right. Roger says, "Larry will give us the power and we'll amend bail reform laws ourselves using direct democracy." I'll buy that. I'll buy that. Yes. Yep. Warren says, "Another thing to be clear about, I don't think Larry or anyone else ever fixed government, but I am pleased that he has actual policy plans. That alone is rare." True. Almost unheard of, my friend. Almost unheard of. Yes. Almost unheard of. Missy says, "You can get a gift with a $35 or $50 donation, campaign shirts, by using this link." Yes. If you guys look, I know I'm chatting with you and I'm giving you actual policy ideas. And I'm talking about these types of things, right? And I want you to enjoy them. And I want you to see, and I want you to be able to go back and forth and talk about them. I want all those things. Of course I do. But I also need you to support me financially and or with your time. Either one or both if you can. If you want a shirt, if you want a bumper sticker, if you want a hoodie like a cool hoodie like I have, head over to LarrySharpe.com/Sharpe. Do it now. Pick up a hoodie, pick up a bumper sticker, pick up a shirt. Donate $35, get a shirt. Donate $50, get a hoodie. Larry, $50 for a hoodie? Yes, you are supporting the campaign. Yes, it's the whole point. Yes. And please, when you do it, wear the hoodie, particularly if you're going to be on internet. Even better. Wear the hoodie with the shirt. Wear it. Show people that you're wearing it. It does matter a lot. Please do so. Help out. Buy something. Get something. I'm sorry. You're not buying. You're donating and getting a gift. You're not buying. You're going to be in trouble. You're donating and getting a gift. So please donate. It does matter, and get a gift. You're like, Larry, I don't want your stupid shirt. Okay, don't be mean about it, but I get it. Just give me money then. Just donate. LarrySharpe.com/donate. Remember, for every dollar you give, up to $6,000, I have a matching donor who will match that money up to $6,000. Right? So that's the matching funds. So if you give $100, we'll get in $200. You get up to $6,000. So hopefully people give me $6,000 today. Well, I'll get another 6. I'll get 12. Love that. Please do that. Give me money so I can make that number. If you're from New York State, if you are, take your time, give that money. Up to $250 of that will be matched by New York State, 6-1. You give $100, New York State gives me $600. Yes, matching funds, big deal. Look, to be forward, for me to be able to make impact in this race, I am going to have to raise a lot of money. I have to. If I raise $500,000 from people from New York State will give me $3 million. With $3 million, this is an actual race. This is real impact and a shot at victory. $3 million is a real shot at victory. They will jump through hoops. Here's the reality. The Democrats, Republicans are not ready to fight. They're not. They're talking trash. They're not. Why? Democrats never have to fight in New York State. Neither do Republicans. They know who's going to win. They know. A Republican has not won a statewide election in this state. Nothing. Not a AG, not senator, not governor in 23 years. And the state keeps getting bluer, not redder. We see it. This state will go gold or purple or green before it goes red. Like, I don't know, last time, Zeldin, stop with that. Stop fooling yourself. That was 3 years ago. Number one, 3 years ago. And 300,000 New Yorkers have left every single year since. Most of those people would have been voting red. Or they would have stayed. So you lost at least 600,000 people who would have voted red. They're gone now. They're gone now. And Mamdani shows us that when regular Democrats are pissed off, they don't vote red. They vote extra blue. They vote the other red, like the communist red. They go that route. They don't go Republican red. They go communist red. That's where they go. They go further left. They've shown us this already. That's Mamdani. They've shown us this already. Let's stop fooling ourselves. $30 million, this is a winnable race. That starts by you donating $50, $25, $100, getting a t-shirt, getting a hoodie. Do that now. It's important. You want to super chat me? Go ahead. Super chat me instead. Don't call bucks in the super chat. I'll super chat it. Same thing. Or you say, Larry, look, I love you. I don't got the cash. Okay. Join SEAL Team Sharpe. Do it. SEAL Team Sharpe. Join it. That means go to LarrySharpe.com/volunteer. Sign up. We have a phone call this Wednesday, 9 p.m. You should be on that. We will tell you what you need to do to support us. You don't have to be in New York State. It's okay. We need social media, warriors. We require them. The meme wars are real. The meme wars are real, and we have to win them. So do me a favor. Jump on SEAL Team Sharpe, LarrySharpe.com/volunteer. Do it now so we can move forward. Every single policy I talked about, here's what I'm sure of. No one else is talking about that. I know. I get their emails. I get the emails from Kathy Hochul and the other person who might be running. I get those emails, and all they are is the evil Mamdani, and they're evil and socialists, and I'm gonna stop them. That's the Republicans. And the Democrats go, Trump is doing it again. He's killing everybody, and Trump is evil, and Orange Man bad. That's all it is. They're not giving me ways to fix things. If you live in New York State, please tell me, New York State, what's the Republican answer, statewide answer to fix anything in New York State? I'll wait for a very long time because you don't know any. Because there aren't any. The plans are, Hoko's bad and we need more cops. That's it. That's their plan. That doesn't fix my business. Doesn't give me a better education. That doesn't make my family feel any better. Doesn't help me keep my kids up here. Doesn't keep my senior dad or mom up here. Doesn't stop people from leaving the state. None of that. And they're not going to win anyway. They know they're not. They know they're not. The reason why Republicans in New York State don't have any answers is because they're not going to win. They know they're not. So why bother? It's a waste of time for them. I do it because I want to win, number one. But two, I want people to take my... When I was on Rogan, I said all the time, I ended that. And if you watch the last 10 minutes of that interview, 5 minutes even, last 5-10 minutes of that interview, he says, you got great ideas. Where'd you get them from? I said, me and my team got together. We teamed the ideas together. He goes, you better lock them down. I said, why? He said, people take them. I said, take them. Fix my state. I don't have to run anymore. Yeah. I actually want to fix my state. They don't. And last thing you might say, Lara, you know, I like you. You're really good looking. True. I am good looking. True. And modest too. But look, do I really want to, voting for you is a wasted vote. Okay. If you've been in this state for say 20 years or more, and you don't like the Democrats, okay, you don't like the establishment, you voted for Republicans. Great. What'd that get you? Where are those guys now? Are the guys you voted for now helping out in New York? Are they giving you good ideas? Are they crossing the state? No, they're gone. You threw your vote away. If you voted for a Republican in the last 4 elections, you threw your vote away. You thought you weren't, because you were doing something. You were being fooled. You were being played. If you voted for me, I'm still here. You can still come see me. I'm still crossing the state. You voted for me the last 3 elections, last two elections, you voted for the last 2 elections. You invested your money. You invested your vote. What about the money you gave to those Republicans? What happened to that money? Gone. They took it. Thanks, sucker. Money you gave me, I'm still crossing the state with it. I'm still talking to you now. The vote for me and the money for me is an investment into this state. The vote money you give the Republicans is thrown in the garbage. And I go, well, Larry, I didn't vote Republican. I voted Democrat. I won. Awesome. Good for you, Democrat. You won. I'm glad you won. Nicely done. Is the state any better? No, huh? It's not, is it? You getting what you want? No, you're not. Did rent go down? No. Cost of living go down? No. Did medical service get better? No. Education got better? No. Got more expensive though, didn't it? Yeah. Your taxes go down? No. So you voted for Democrats the last 3 or 4 years. You gave them money. Great. What'd you get for that? Nothing. You threw your money away. You threw your vote away. If you voted for a Democrat or Republican in the last 3-4 elections, you threw your vote away. If you gave them money, you threw your money away. But you're mad at me. I don't waste my vote with you. I'm still here. I'm still giving you answers. I'm still trying to make things work. I'm the investment. They're the waste. Let me say it again. I'm the investment. They're the waste. They come and they go. How about all that money you gave Cuomo? The vote you gave Cuomo if you're Democrat? What happened to that? He's busy grabbing butts and killing grandma. And now he's going to lose to Mom Donnie. Boy, that was a good investment, wasn't it? Well, when you voted for Hochul and gave her money, did that? What'd she do for you? She went and talked to God. She said so. And then wore a little thing saying vaxxed because God told her to get the jab. That's what you got for that. You threw the money away for that one too. You voted for a Republican Democrat in this state last 2 elections. You threw your money away. You threw your vote away. You supported me, voted for me. You invested it because I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm still talking the talk and walking the walk. So donate. Donate. Invest. Do it. Invest your time. Invest your vote. Invest your money. I'm still here. Do it. Do it now. Don't wait. Don't wait. Wow. Do it now. Right now. The links are right there. Go on IrishShip.com. Pick one. Make that happen. All right. Let me keep going down here if I can. All right. So many of these. I appreciate it. All right. Flying Rich says, oh, Rich, how are you, sir? Mom Donnie wins at some point. The Jews will be driven out of the city because of violence and maybe worse, not being able to remain employed. Nah, that's Republican propaganda. Not true. Look, Mamdani is not going to help, but this is propaganda. It's not true. This is fear tactics trying to get people to vote against him. And I get it, but you shouldn't believe it. Most Jews in New York, and the polls are in, actually support Mamdani. I'm not joking. Most Jews in New York, multiple polls have shown this. It's an age gap. Younger Jews support Mamdani, older Jews don't. In New York City. That's just true. You can be mad at me if you want to, blame me. The data is in. Multiple polls show this. From both sides. Older Jews do not support Mamdani, younger Jews do. They do. He's not going to get rid of Jews. He's not going to. He's an ideologue. He's going to try to be as socialist as he can be. He's an ideologue. He's a true believer. He's a true believer. And if people are going to leave the city, but not because they're Jewish, right? Jewish communists, Jewish socialists are going to be happy in the city because, well, they won't be, but they'll stay because they have to, because their ideology tells them to. They won't be happy, but their ideology tells them to. But if you're more a capitalist side, a more freedom-loving, more libertarian, you're going to want to leave. But it won't be because you're Jewish. That won't be the issue. So, yeah. All righty. Let's see here. I grabbed that one already. I appreciate that. I'm going to grab some as I can. All right. Liberty says, all I know is you wouldn't see Kathy or King Cuomo answering questions like this or even talking policy. They both prefer making money off the constituents. True. That's true. You're right. So, Joel says, Larry Sharpe is the only person running for office that I've ever seen answer any question people ask. Other candidates duck, dodge, and dive issues. Every single time. Every single time. And then the sad part is most of the time, the press lets them get away with it. Just goes, yeah, whatever. Okay, thank you for the question. Moves on. But when I do it, they want to hammer me. The independent has to be perfect. The Democrat Republican simply has to be not as bad as the other. That's it, right? Joe, if I'm the Republican, I just go, well, I know I'm a murderer, but she killed 3 people, so I'm not a mass murderer. And that's it. And that's it. So, yes. All righty. Roger says, removing prisons from the predatory speculative market, and there no longer be a financial incentive to send people to prison by creating bogus laws that will exploit the loophole in the 13th Amendment. I don't think that's happening in New York City, New York State. That's not a big deal in New York State. I mean, there's no actual private prisons in New York State. They exist outside. The issue we have with New York State is things like the concessions, things like commissary. It's in New York State, it's the vendors that are the corruption issue, not the prisons themselves. That's the big of a deal in New York State. The bigger deal is the concessions and the vendors that service the prisons. Those are a much bigger problem than the prisons themselves. Again, in New York State. So yes. Roger goes on to say, the largest word cooperative in the U.S. is Cooperative Home Care Associates, a New York-based home care agency founded in 1985 with over 2,000 employees. Bingo. My exact point, right? I think the issue here is it's a service industry. I really believe, look, I don't have 100% proof, but this is anecdotal proof. I'll take it as such. Thank you, Roger. That I think that service industries can be served better by cooperatives. I don't know if manufacturing and stuff can. I don't know. My gut says that service industries will be better. Again, that's just a feeling I have. I have no evidence. I will take this as one. So yes, I'll take it as such. I'll take it as a proof because I like that. So, all righty. Let's see here. Liberty says, the great Spike Cohen said, we can't grow the LP if we go around calling people bootlickers. True, but it does feel good. But yeah, it doesn't work. So yeah, absolutely. All righty. Let's see. Roger says, Larry, I caught that you were about to say, gotta have a high STD. Then quickly correct yourself and said SAT. STD is what they'll catch when going to college. True. I don't think you need to have STDs to be successful. At least I hope not. I don't think you have to. Maybe that's my problem. I need more STDs. Then that's what it is. Okay, there we go. Ken says, what will be the benefit of you getting at least second in the race if you don't shock the world and win? The reality of it is there's many benefits to this run, guys. For those of you who don't know, and this is important for you to understand for those of you who care about what's happening here, I'm going to try to run under two different party lines. If you live in New York, you know what that means. It's called fusion voting, and you can be listed on the line on the ballot twice, multiple times. Kathy Hochul, if she runs, assuming she runs, she'll be listed on two lines, Democratic and the working family. She'll be listed twice. All the votes combined count together. That's how New York State works. Whatever Republican sacrificial lamb they pick will be listed on Republican and conservative, and all their votes count together. And then I'm hoping to be on both Libertarian and We the People. We the People, for those who don't know, is Robert Kennedy Jr.'s party. So those two parties, right? Those two together. So each of us will have two lines. All together count. Now, all I need is 130,000 votes on each line to make each of those a political party. Mecco Larry, that's a lot of votes. It is. But on my own in 2018, I got 100,000 votes. So already 7 years ago, I already got 100,000. But not just that. Excuse me. I will be the only independent party, only independent candidate on a ballot. In 2022, it was the first time in over 80 years in New York State where there was no independent governor candidate on the ballot. No. Last year, 2024, New York State was the only state in the entire union that did not have an independent candidate on the ballot for president at all. No independent candidate. Now, what does that mean? I get all the FU votes, all of them. Now, how many votes are those? We know what they are. We can see when we used to have independent candidates on the ballot. Almost every cycle, around 500,000 people vote not the main parties. Almost every cycle, about 500,000. So I'm going to get from that 500,000 votes. As long as they're not so skewed 4-1, if they're not skewed 4-1, if they're skewed 3-1 or less, both parties are now main parties in New York State. I just put 2 independent parties on the books in New York State. That's my worst case scenario. That's my loss, Kevin. That's my worst case scenario. Yes. Now, what's my next best level, which is what you just said, second place. If I come in second place, New York State law, because they can't support parties specifically, I mean, they do, but they kind of got to dodge around it. They say the Board of Elections is run by the top 2 parties. So if I come in second, say I come in second as Libertarian, that would mean Democrats and Libertarians now run the Board of Elections. Republicans kicked out of the government. That's not going to happen. They're not going to do that. They're just going to rewrite all the rules. I know they will. That's how it works. They'll rewrite the rules. But they'll have to rewrite the rules with all the parties. What will happen? The Board of Elections will now have independent parties to watch everything. We'll have fairer elections. We'll have 4 parties involved, not 2 anymore. The establishment will now be under scrutiny. So if I come in second, by default, we now have Kennedy people involved in the government, Libertarians involved in the government, Democrats involved in the government, and Republicans involved in the government. We have a broader coalition of people. And now we can make actual coalition governments, coalition, single issue coalitions to get stuff done. Yes. That's my right above my worst case scenario. And of course, hopefully I win, in which case the entire nation is changed. Literally overnight. I'm not even joking. Imagine if a third party won in New York State, and New York State was no longer controlled by Democrats as governor. The entire nation changes literally overnight. Watch independent parties go, oh my God, this can happen, this can work, things can change. Watch Democrats change. Watch Republicans change. Watch everything change overnight. It will be a shock across the entire world. Yes. So there we go. Andrea says, I like the idea of having sunsets on all laws. If they don't work, they can be changed or repealed. Yes, that's the point. There's terrible, you find all the time, you'll find like a law in the books, like, whatever, somewhere in North Carolina, whatever, right? Oh, there's a law that you can, beat your wife on a Tuesday or whatever. That kind of law exists, right? Why is that law still in the books? Should have been a sunset law a long time ago. And then, oh, that's a crappy law. Why do we have that? Gone. Done. That's it. So Let's see. Brona says, I truly hope Larry does win. Me too. I would have loved to see Ron Paul win the presidency. I've also been curious to see if Libertarians can make a difference. Yeah, I think so. I like the idea. And again, what winds up happening is if someone like me wins, Brona, what happens is other people have hope, which means they get off the couch. They get out of bed. They go do something, right? They go do something. Yes. Gene says, I remember what our rail system was like before Amtrak took over. Yes, again, the rail system was all built by private companies. Thank you. Everyone's like, no, the government. No. Now it's that way. Yes. Our stations were beautiful. Now they're an embarrassment. Yeah. You're right. You're right. 100%. So, all righty. I think I grabbed a bunch of those already. All right. I covered that one already. All right. Johnson says, why is this on Sharpe channel? Because this is not a Sharpe show. This is Larry Sharpe for governor. That's the reason why it's not on Sharpe channel. This is why there are no super chats unless you want to give. This is for Larry Sharpe for governor. It's a separate entity. It's why you go to LarrySharpe.com for this, not Sharpeway.com. That's the reason why. So this is a separate entity. Sharpe show is Sharpe show. That is a separate entity than Larry Sharpe for governor. I don't want to go to jail, Johnson, so don't put me in trouble. They're separate entities. Okay? All right? Okay, here we go. All righty. Shelly says, Larry, what will you do to keep farms becoming solar farms using fossil fuels to run generators to make solar appear to be viable? Look, the reality of it is, I want people to do what they want to do with their land. The problem, Shelly, as you know, is many farmers are going solar because they can't do the farm thing. It doesn't work. If we make farmers viable in New York State, the solar thing won't be a thing. Not just that. Do we want renewable energy? Do we want greener energy? Yes, of course we do. Of course we want it. It's great. Let's do it. I'm all in. Here's the answer. Nuclear, and also nuclear. Let's just do nuclear. That's the answer. We do that and make farmers. If we make farming viable and support nuclear energy, this problem goes away. I'm worried about the root. That's the root. Yes. Stream Widget Shop says better policies. Thank you. Yes. Thank you. Correct. There we go. All righty. If I can walk down here, I grab those two. Missy goes on and say, volunteer here, LarrySharpe.com/volunteer. Yeah, I keep saying this, and I want to make sure it's clear. If you are in a good financial space, if you're doing well financially, then give me some money. I'm not joking. If you're in a good spot, if you're like, look, I'm all right, I'm doing okay right now, I got some cash, I'm doing okay, head over to LarrySharpe.com/donate and donate some cash. If you want a shirt, go to LarrySharpe.com/shop. Pick up a t-shirt or a hoodie, but donate. I'm out here. I'm not working now. I'm doing this. I am putting myself in financial situation purposefully. I don't need your sympathy. I don't require that. I volunteer to do this. I need your volunteer time, or I need your cash, whatever you have more of. I don't require your sympathy. I'm not sorry. I to Lunatic's point, I'm glutton for punishment. I have chosen this. So I'm not saying this so you feel sorry for me. I've decided that I need to do this, so I'm doing it. But if you want to help out, if you think it matters, then either give time or give money, whichever you have more of. If you're in a good financial spot, then donate. Why? Because I have to get out and make things happen. I have to get, as you can see, signs, door hangers, palm cards. I have to pay to be in fairs. I've got a table. I've got to travel. All those things I do that all cost cash. So donate. If you say, Larry, I don't have the cash, then volunteer. I need you to become part of SEAL Team Sharpe. Doesn't matter what state you're in, doesn't matter where you are. LarrySharpe.com/volunteer. Jump on board so you can help out. This Wednesday's a phone call. I want you on that call so we can tell you what to do and how to act. So sign up for the volunteer. You'll get the link to be on. Come on that call so we can get things going. That's what matters. That's what's important. That's what matters. So let's keep that going. So yes, Sumo just says SEAL Team Sharpe. Correct. That's us. Let's do it. So E6022 says we need veterans from the 2018 meme wars. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. 100%. Then he says, sign up last night, Larry. I'm in and have been for the last 10 years. Thank you, brother. All right, we got more coming. I love it. There we go. And it said, if you reach out to Allison Moreau, she would love to hear your ideas on food freedom. I love Allison. I've been on the show multiple times. She's a friend of mine. I love her. We get along for a very weird reason. Her husband's a Marine. So she's got that Marine in her. She likes that. She likes that Marine stuff. Yeah, we get along well. I should, I haven't talked to her in a while. I should. That's good, Andrea. I will reach out to her. I love her. She's amazing. I always help her to do her wine pitch whenever it goes on her show. So yeah, I will do that. I appreciate that. Yes. All righty. I gotta remember to do that. It's a good idea, by the way. I do appreciate that. Okay, so many of these. You guys going back and forth with each other. I love that too. Josh says, hit that like button. I've been asking you guys for money and asking you guys to join for volunteers. Yes, but also two things. I'm asking a lot today. I am. This is a fundraiser. This is a talk, an AMA, and a fundraiser. I'm putting 3 hours on a Saturday here so that you guys can do this. So yes, hit the like button. If you haven't, I don't know why you hate me. Hit the like button. Not just that. Share this or repost this. Wherever you are, share it, repost this, put it into a Facebook. In fact, not just that. I'm going to go one step further. If you are a member of any Facebook group, Discord server, any of those things where it's political at all, put this in that. Put this in that. Share this, repost this in that. It does matter. So sharing, reposting, and click the like button all matter. Why? Mr. Rhythm loves it. Algo Rhythm loves it so that more people will see this. So please do that. It really does matter. I can't tell you how much it matters. It really does. So yes. All righty. Shelley says, I didn't know about libertarianism until I was an adult listening to Ron Paul, but I didn't put it up together until listening to Larry. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes. All righty. Phil says, they robbed Larry of probably 50,000 votes by the bad ballot design. On purpose. Yes. On purpose. Yes. But it doesn't matter, right? Yeah. I know I got over 100,000 votes. I know I did, but it doesn't matter. It's just, if I say that, it just sounds like I'm being petty. So I don't say that. But Phil, you and I both know that they literally, we tried to tell them to change the ballot. They wouldn't do it. I was the only candidate that was on a same line as another candidate. So people got confused which one. They voted for her instead of me. So half of her votes were actually my votes. I know that, at least half, not more. I know that's true, but does it matter? I mean, now you're making me angry thinking about how bad that was, Phil. Look, me saying it, let me say this. For those of you who were with me in 2018 and you want to have a warm, fuzzy feeling, at least half of Stephanie Mana's votes were my votes. At least, if not all. No, not all, but at least half. She didn't campaign. Her place wasn't real. She just picked up those votes because she was on the same line as me. And they thought she was my lieutenant governor. That's reality. People told me that. Oh, I thought she was lieutenant governor. So they thought they were voting for me when they voted for her. So the odds are I probably got like 150, 200,000 votes, which again isn't enough to win. So why bother? Am I going to sue for that? Who knows? Why bother? But if you need a warm, fuzzy feeling because you were with me in 2018 and you want to feel better about our win, that's good for you. Anybody else? It doesn't matter. I mean, it sounds petty. People don't believe me. I know it's true. And the people who were there, they know it's true. That's the truth. So that's why I'm saying I have no problem at all, no problem getting the votes. The challenge will be getting on the ballot and raising the money. This is why I'm bugging you now to support me with cash and volunteering. That's what matters. So yes. All righty. Look down here. All right. Let's see if I keep going out. I appreciate all of these back and forth. You guys are going back and forth a lot, which is great. I love that part too. So, all righty here. And thank you for that, by the way. I appreciate that, Phil, because you remembered at least. That's good. All righty. Mike Voss in the house. There are blue laws by the thousands in all states. Politicians are too lazy to remove them and afraid that public will see how they failed in the past. Also true. And the great thing is they would just go away then. Let them go. Yes. Borna says, interpret the law has always given me concern. If it doesn't interpret the law in the language as written, okay, but interpreting the law for political correctness is an issue. But that's what they're doing now. That's what they're doing now. Why do you think activist judges have a bad name? in theory, we should be proud of activist judges, assuming they were activists for the Constitution, but they're not. Your worry is what's happening now, right? So yeah, but they're saying I'm following the law. No, they're interpreting it, if anything, for their own political parties. So yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, I guess that's it. So, all right. Let's see here. You guys went back with a lot. I appreciate those. All right. Phil says, if Larry gets in the ballot, there'll be some random on the ballot too. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it'll just be me. That's my gut. I can't see another way of doing it, right? I think I don't see another way, another person being able to do it. I mean, maybe, but I would have heard about it already, right? Yeah, maybe. Roger says, Larry, I'm looking at Nebraska Public Power, North Dakota Public Bank, and Chattanooga municipalized high-speed broadband. I'm beginning to think the GOP is better at making communism than the Dems. But again, let me go down that road. I'm not against, and I'm very distinct on this, socialism or communism as long as it's voluntary. If people want to join together, libertarianism isn't about individualism. It isn't, in theory, it isn't even about capitalism. It isn't. It's about volunteerism, right? If you want to become a monk and give all your money away, you may in the libertarian world. You may remember in every authoritarian world, the minorities are always the first to be attacked. Always, right? The Uyghurs in China, the Jews in Germany, right? Blacks in the South, whatever. The minorities are always attacked in any authoritarian. Whenever a nation becomes authoritarian, the first people attacked. New York State, the Mormons, right? The minorities are always attacked. In a libertarian world, they're left alone. If you want to have a kibbutz, okay, it's voluntary. I think that the smaller government actually allows for more localized socialism and more localized communism. If it's a smaller government, it allows for it. Enjoy. You do you. No one will bother you. I actually think smaller government allows for that. Bigger government forces it. Smaller government says you do you, and if you fail, you know what? Good luck with that. And look, I don't think socialism and communism voluntarily will always fail. And I think the Amish are a perfect example. The Amish are growing. And it's not just because of population, like they're having sex. Not just that's a reason, but it's because people aren't leaving. They're staying, and some people are now joining the Amish. Yes. So look, if you want to do it, good for you. I'm not mad. I'm not mad. You got to do you. That's the most important piece. I got to ask you guys again, please click the button known as like. It's important. All right. Of all my policies I bring up, and I brought many of them, this is a Policy-thon, so I hit a bunch of policies, but I want to be an AMA and fundraiser too. I want to cover it all. Sometimes there are 4 pieces to my policies always. Before I go there, let me make Bronner angry. There are 4 things government does well. Yes, it does. It does things well. 4 things it does well. Number 1, kill people. Good at that. Particularly if you want them randomly and en masse. Great job. You want that done. Government's great. Imprison people. Again, particularly just if you want them just imprisoned for no reason whatsoever, some petty reasons, yes, en masse, very good at that. Next, creating bureaucracy that slows things down. Oh my God, they will create rules for anything, procedure for anything. You're saying to yourself, you know what? My business is just too efficient. Government got you. We'll take care of that in 30 days. Crush it. Last thing they're really good at also, writing checks. They write checks better than banks. Faster than banks, better than banks. Very good. Every single policy by every single Republican or every single Democrat will have 1, if not 2, 3, or 4 of those as its piece. That's what it will do every time. There's a problem, bomb it. There's a problem, imprison it. There's a problem, make a rule. There's a problem, write a check. That's it. That's all I do. All of my policies you've heard today and will ever hear have none of those. None of those. My policies are unenforceable. I have 4 rules on my policies. Number 1, no increase in any form of taxation, fine, or fee. None. No increase. It's the same or less. Never increase a fine, a fee, a tax, ever. No exception. Number 2, no extra enforcement. No extra cops, inspectors, nothing. No extra enforcement at all. No extra cops. What we have or less. Never have any more cops. Never have any more inspectors. Never any more for any policy in place. Third, when I want to focus on helping people, people, I always focus on the working class, not the very wealthy, not the very poor, the working class. Why not the wealthy? They're good. They don't need me. They're good. Why not the very poor? I'll help them because government does a decent job of keeping them very poor. Most very poor people don't die in America. Government's got them at that level, but won't bring them up. Who will bring them up? The middle class. The middle class and working class, those are the ones who actually help out the very poor. They're the ones who put the hand out. They're the ones who make something happen. So help them, you'll help the poor by default. Lastly, business. If I deal with the business community at all, I always focus on the entrepreneur class, never the corporate class. The corporate class does not care about America at all. The corporate class does not care about community at all. The entrepreneur class does. The entrepreneur class actually gives people chances. The entrepreneur class hires people like felons and former addicts. The entrepreneur class cares about their local, community. The entrepreneur class cares. That's why every single time you see all my policies, those 4 things government does well, never in my policies. Never. No enforcement, all volunteerism. That's the libertarian side, right? No enforcement, volunteerism. How about the Maha side? Localism, you own your body. You own your life. Localism, you own your life. Maha, right? No enforcement. No enforcement. No extra taxes. Nothing. None of that. Libertarianism. That's where they overlap. They overlap right there. They overlap right there. We can make this work with policies that do not require enforcement, that can localize, that can support families, that can support communities. Always remember, when you add government, you remove community. When you add community, you can remove government. That's the issue. I don't want to just get rid of stuff because people panic and do bad things. People who are afraid make bad decisions. Remember, through most of America, most of the time, Americans do not, the American government doesn't just take rights. I mean, now they do. They used to not do that. What would happen? We would voluntarily give them up because we were afraid. Now when they take them, we don't fight back. Why? Because we're afraid. Afraid Americans make bad decisions. I don't want to make them afraid. I want to show them a better way. And I think we can show them a better way. I feel like we can show them a better way. I like the idea of us being able to show people a way that makes sense, that can make them feel good, that can make them happy, all those things. If you want to support that, click that like button, repost this, and more importantly, donate. Whatever you can. $5 is great. $10 is better. $250 is amazing. $500, you're a champion. Whatever you can give. Here's what I promise you. Here's my promise to you. I will keep fighting until the end. I will keep giving you this as I have been for the past 7 years. I have crossed this damn state 7 times. Every single year. You've seen me. I'm not stopping. So I'm going to sit here. My first run, the first thing I did was I wrote myself a check for $10,000. True story. That's why I ask you for money, because I gave. First run, I was $100,000 in debt. Second run, $40,000 in debt. I do give my own money. I do sacrifice my own money, so I ask for yours. Not just that, I'm out here. You see me. I'm out every other goddamn weekend, day upon day upon day. So I take up all my time. I'm doing this. So I ask for your time. I ask for your time. I can't point my finger at you till I point it at me first. I pointed at me. Now I'm pointing it at you. Volunteer. LarrySharpe.com/volunteer. We have a meeting this Wednesday, 9 p.m. I want you on it. Volunteer. Join SEAL Team Sharpe so we can rock and roll and make this happen. The lady says it right. Larry Sharpe, Fordner, New York. Guys, thanks so much for giving me 3 hours of your time. Went by just like that. Donate and volunteer. Let's make this happen. I'll see you all very soon.